we're live.
Bingo! Welcome, everybody. Happy Thursday night. Another episode of PM in the PM. Thank you all for tuning in to myself and, of course, Mav for a great episode tonight. It is November the 10th already. We are coming up close to Black Friday, close to Turkey Day, all that good stuff. The holidays are beginning. It's starting to get cold up in Minnesota. We went from 60s and we got a little late warmth, and now it is dropping off the cliff. So we are going to be in the 30s and 20s all next week. So it is about that time of the year, but that is gaming time of the year as well. Nobody wants to go outside when, I mean, if you're living in Florida, you always go outside.
It's been like here, 70 the last couple days here.
Yeah, see? Yeah, Texas, the same thing. You guys got nice weather most of the year round, too.
Supposed to get into the 50s, though, coming up in the next couple days, which is pretty chilly.
Better break out the fur coat.
Yeah.
Better break out the big bear coat.
Yeah. It's going to be cold. I'm going to be nipping.
Cars might not start. Jesus.
I do get annoyed when the weather changes, having to put fucking air in all the tires.
Oh, yeah. That happens.
It's annoying.
That's like a normal part of life up here.
Yeah, it's still annoying. Come on.
I know. Chat, you're all looking absolutely amazing. It has been a light week of news this week. We do have some topics to get into, but obviously, as always, Mav and I will be engaging with the chat. So if you guys got something that you guys want to talk about or whatever the case, we might have a little Q&A session depending on where we wind up at the time. But you know how this show goes, too. Mav and I get rolling. We get BSing. We get you guys involved, and all of a sudden, it's been 2 freaking hours, right? That's how it goes. But happy God of War launch week for everybody enjoying God of War. And I've seen a lot of great, shots out there, but I've seen a lot of great videos out there. It is looking fantastic. I'm going to say I'm a tinge jealous, even though I said this would not be a game that I'd buy out the gate, even if I had a PS5. I still love to see it, and I love to see what it looks like. So I watch people's videos and that kind of stuff, and this thing looks amazing. And obviously I love mythology, so it does get me a little excited. And happy 2-year anniversary to Xbox Series consoles too. Mav and I might talk about that as well. That was today. But before we get rolling, let me introduce my partner, the co-host in this show, at least, the owner of this channel, the one, the only, Fun Speculation, aka Mav. We were just talking in the background, Mav. We were just both fired up a little Vampire Survivor.
Yeah, we did. I only played for like 5-10 minutes because that's all I had time for before the show, but I wanted to get the feel of it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is actually pretty addicting. So there may be more of that tonight for sure. Hey, this is our 50th. This is our 50th episode, Pong.
That's right. It is our 50th.
Yeah.
That's right. Damn.
It's crazy.
50th anniversary. Let's go.
50th anniversary.
That works. Weekly.
We've been married longer than me and my wife.
Very true. Very true. Although I was much older when you met me.
Yeah.
When you met her.
It does make sense. You are a grandfather. So
that is true. That is true. You like old guys. Gilfs. You like gilfs.
Yeah.
All right. So what's been going on with you this week, Mav?
I've been dabbling into the Halo Infinite winter update the last couple days. It's some bugs here and there that some people are experiencing with Forge and getting into some things, but pretty big modes just launched, and man, I'm already blown away at some of the maps I've been seeing from the community and the creations, because we've already gotten classic maps coming back. Somebody made a Blood Gulch, and it looks, man, it's pretty damn spot on, dude. These Forge maps are looking pretty spiffy. The custom game browser isn't there yet, which is, I knew that was going to kind of suck. I've talked about that in the past. I wish that would have been here. You know what I mean? But it'll be here in March. In the meantime, though, we can still potentially have more community games. I'm kind of trying to stockpile some of the better maps I find out there. So when we have community games going, we have a good playlist that we can put out there, and it's pretty awesome.
Greek-looking one, that 2v2 one that I saw, where somebody did like Greek architecture. It looked like artwork. Have you seen that one?
I haven't seen that one.
Oh my God, it looks amazing. I'll have to send it to you in DMs. I'll have to find it again.
Somebody already did.
Looking pretty good.
Somebody already did Shipment from Call of Duty on there as well, which is like a 2v2 type map. And we got let's see, a Haven from Halo 4 is pretty amazing already in there. It's somebody made that. There's some talent out there making these maps, and they're making them pretty quick. So I was kind of dabbling around, just finding some random stuff, man. And there's some really cool, not remakes or whatever of other maps, but some other original ones. Xbox era's John Sickaminico, I think is how you say the gamer tag.
Yes.
He had a Curfew, which is a really fantastic one. Gorgeous looking map. But yeah, I'm pretty astounded. It's adding a lot of content. Now, this isn't going to help for matchmaking or playlists for a while. But the 2 new maps implemented by 343 are solid as well, although they did take one of them out temporarily because it was causing some crashing issues. Hopefully that comes back soon. But in March, it's kind of what I talked about in the past, Pong, is like I felt like this November was almost like season 0 of what Halo Infinite, the full experience, would be. And then like season 1, it would be like March, right? So it's like if they had delayed it a year, it would have like come across like so much better. I think another year. I mean 2 years. So, however, like gameplay is still solid. One aspect that I noticed from the update, it seemed like there was some good stability in the gameplay improvements as well. As far as just the way some of the guns feel, and the commando got boosted big time. That thing's a beast now. But yeah, it's been fun, man, and I'm looking forward to where it's going now. I think this is going to gradually bring the community back, especially in March when that other update hits. So good on them. Also, the match XP is way better than the previous system. So
yeah, I saw that. I saw a couple examples of the XP, and it looked a little bit better. I'm still not convinced to re-download it yet.
yeah, I mean, you'd be fine to wait till March. I mean, I haven't dabbled in co-op campaign yet, so. But like what I would say right now, I mean, this winter update is like, it's a good amount of content right now. But until that custom game browser gets up and they get into the real big updates with the March update, it's still gonna feel a little bit lighter because this is gonna last us 4 months, right? The good thing is we can find some awesome maps, and it gives all these Forge creators out there, the public, time to make some awesome stuff. So by the time that comes around, it's going to be a playground in March, right? I mean, it's just going to be a feast. But right now, I'm just kind of stockpiling some of those good maps. And if anybody ever sees a good map that you like, tag me on Twitter with it, or DM me or whatever, and I'll see if I can't get it in some of the playlists for some community games.
Well, the good news is that there's no games coming out at the beginning of 2023, so I'll
probably
have
that's true.
A lot of free time come March.
True statement. Yeah, nothing to play in March, February, nothing at all.
Nothing at all. No, it's been cool. I rewatched a little bit of your stream. I think you guys were streaming the other night when I went to bed, and I woke up to invites, and so I think I watched some of your stream back. And it looked really cool. It looked like there was a ton of different things already in there, like you said. I saw somebody created an avalanche today. I saw that on Twitter, like an actual avalanche with big giant boulders coming, like all sorts of crazy stuff. Like you said, Matt, by next year, as they get rolling and as more people get into this forge, we could see something really cool come out of this.
Yeah, and they're talking about adding the campaign AI and all that stuff to it too. So I've already seen some maps that I could. This one map, I don't remember the creator, but it was massive, but it was so detailed. It looked like it came from the campaign. And I could just imagine like there being some bots around there with scripting. You run around, have to go to do objectives and stuff. Like it would be absolutely crazy. But besides Halo, also more NBA and Call of Duty and the typical stuff. I'm looking forward to playing Vampire Survivor some more. I only played for a few minutes here, but the game's got its hooks in me already. I can tell. It's like I'm itching to. I was thinking about it. Can I get away with playing it during the show? And then the Marvel Snap again has been awesome. Kate's actually addicted. She's far surpassing me now in level and everything. Awesome. Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Awesome. So, but good games, man. What about you, bro?
Not a whole lot this week again. Ultra busy. Again, I've been doing this thing where you're trying to get to bed earlier, so I've been watching more TV, catching up on seasons of shows that I have never watched before. So I'm into Black Sails. Yeah, I know. Welcome to 2022, Pong. Black Sails. So my Pirate's Life, absolutely loving that show. But I have played Snap, obviously, it's easy, it's quick, in and out, pause. It's amazing. I'm still loving Snap. I love the strategy involved with them. Loving my deck. Only swapped out a few cards here and there as I gain some more cards. But overall, again, I win 10, 12 to every one that I lose so far. So my deck's like a 180 right now. So put some time into that. I've been having a good time with that. Put a little bit of time into Return to Monkey Island. Again, if you guys remember it, if you guys are old like me and you remember the old Monkey Islands, this is right up your alley. Same type of writing, same type of humor. Really good looking. Obviously, it's kind of a point and click adventure in a way. But they've got two modes. They've got a hardcore mode if you want to get harder puzzles and that kind of stuff, or they got the casual mode, which is the regular mode. So I'm just playing casual, just having a good time with it. And then let's see what else. That's about it. I made sure to get to level 55 in COD before the Battle Pass came out for Season 1 coming up here soon. So I made sure to do that. I only had a couple levels left to use up some of my double XP tokens and got that done. And that was about it. Otherwise, like you said, I did the gamer thing. I got home 20 minutes early, which meant that I should have been getting in here and talking with Mav real quick before, but I'm like, let's go fire up Vampire Survivors real quick. I just want to get a feel of what it feels like, because I've been watching videos on this thing forever. Like I said, I've watched people on PC play this, but I had to try it for myself. And yeah, that was a mistake. That was a mistake, folks. Again, I understand this game isn't going to be for everybody. I understand some people out there, some gamers, are going to look at it and go, yeah, no. What is this? This is like, oh my God, this is like way back. This is bit kind of looking stuff. This can't be fun. This looks like the first Gauntlet in certain ways. I'm not going to play this. Listen, try it. If you got Game Pass, just try it. Okay? Like I said, just for the 15 minutes that I was playing, this game, like Mav said, has got hooks. And it wants you to keep playing. And there's a ton of stuff to open up. And it's one of those games, one more time. Let me make one more run. Let me just make one more run. There's like 30 characters you can open up in this game with all unique weapons and powers. And you can power up those as you gain gold. Listen, this game's cool. And there's a reason why so many people are hooked on it on PC. I've seen the circus saying, here's God of War, PS5 players get, and here's what Xbox gets, and throwing up the Vampire Survivors screenshot next to it, trying to dismiss Vampire Survivors. Let me tell you something. It's damn good, and that's what games are about. It's about being fun. It doesn't always have to be the best looking game. It doesn't have to be the most technologically advanced game. It doesn't have to have brand new mechanics that you've never seen before in a game at all. This game is amazing. And you're not even controlling like it's so straight. I thought it was a twin stick. I always thought it was a twin stick map. It's not.
Yeah.
The weapons fire off automatically. They fire off. Some of them have different directions they fire off in, blah, blah, blah. But they generally fire in the direction that you're moving in. Like
right.
You whip. And it's got a lot of Castlevania feels. So it's very simple. Very, very simple. But you would not believe how addicting it is. You find treasure chests, loot, you get the gold, you gotta get the turkey straight out of Gauntlet. You gotta get the turkey to reheal, while these mobs get bigger and bigger and harder, and it just keeps ramping up until you finally die. Then you go back, open up a new character if you want to, or power up some of your health or your weapons or your armor or whatever the hell you want to spend your money on, and then you go back in and you make another run. It is freaking cool. Like I said, I've been watching this game for a long time. I'm so excited it's here. It's a great addition to Game Pass. This is a big W for Xbox. Yes, there's a ton of play right now, but I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot of people playing this game. It is that addicting. That's what everybody says. Yeah. That's the one word everybody says. So get out there, try it, see if you like it or not. But yeah, no, that's been pretty much my week here, Mav. Like I said, I woke up this morning really sad again.
Oh no!
Yeah, really, really sad, Mav.
What's wrong, Pong? You okay?
Well.
Oh, I know what's happened. I know, man. I'm sorry. I know.
Depending on when launch times would have been, Mav,
Yeah.
this might have
I
been an
know it's
all-nighter. I would have had tomorrow off. I would have been traveling to New Zealand. I would have been firing up God Howard's newest baby, the
yeah.
one he's dreamt about for over 2 decades. I did. I literally woke up this morning and opened my eyes, and of course, I looked at my watch and I saw the date, and I was just like, "Fuck!" I'd be going to
Yeah.
work today thinking about Starfield all day. The reviews would have already been dropped. Would have been watching videos, preview videos for the past week on this thing. Would have gotten to see even more about this game, and I would have just been sitting at work all today, not working,
Yeah.
daydreaming of getting off and coming home and getting ready to travel to New Zealand if it was possible. Or if
Yeah.
anything, knowing that I was going to go to bed and wake up, and tomorrow I was going to have the day off, and in fact, I was going to have five total days off with the weekend, and I was just going to be playing Starfield 24/7,
Yeah.
except for podcasting.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
I'm
rough.
sorry. Did you have trouble getting out of bed because of it?
Did.
I mean, did you not want to
did.
face the day?
I did not want to face the day.
Yeah.
I did not want to face the day. It's unbelievable, man. How long? Like, this is crazy, man. It's just crazy. This date was written in pen, not pencil, man.
Erasable. There is a erasable pen out there.
Oh, and here we are. And this would have been the last day I would have had without Starfield in my life. Think about that already.
Yeah.
And now I don't even have a date.
Don't even have a date. Yeah.
No, and now I got people out here talking about, well, maybe they push it to November. I don't want to hear that. Like I told Mav the other night, this gets a second delay. If this is not in the first half of 2022 and they push it to November of 2023, I may take some time off from podcasting because I don't think I'm going to have very much good to say. I'm going to be extremely, extremely defeated. And you can all say, well, you shouldn't be. It's just a game. Listen. I've been waiting for a new Bethesda title for a very long time. I'd be the same way if this was Elder Scrolls 6, in fact. So the fact that they said that it was 11/11/22, that Todd said it was written in pen, not pencil, they were ready to rock and roll. And then they get on stage at the Bethesda Xbox showcase and say, nope, we got to delay it till the first half of next year. Do not come out here, Phil, Todd, next year and say we got to push it again to November. Just because you like that date better, then you should never have put it in that showcase as a 12-month title. Because I've heard this argument, Matt.
Yeah.
And it's a true argument. Bethesda titles don't necessarily launch in summertime. Summertime isn't when you launch big games. You launch big games in the fall. I don't care. You should never have come out and told your fan base it'd be out within the next 12 months. Don't do this. Todd's already said they're in the polishing phase a long time ago. So don't come next year and try to give me some excuse like, oh, we got to push it again. No. No. Drop it. We deserve it. We've been waiting on these games. 2022 was extremely light, and that's putting it lightly. Microsoft, Xbox, you already know that. Don't make us wait longer. Starfield needs to be in our hands next year. I'm willing to wait till May, June. That's fine. Just don't come out and say, yeah, November. Don't do that to me next year. Sorry, I had to go on a rant because I'm very upset.
No, I agree with you. Like what I mean, the issue with that would be like, and here's the thing, like they got so much coming out next year already, like with the 3 games, just between Forza, Redfall, and Starfield. Now you got to consider the fact that they already had to have had planned a 2023 lineup, right?
Correct.
So
correct.
If they didn't, then that would have been even crazier. Now maybe that got pushed back with all the other games, and they just never said anything because those games had never had a release date to begin with. Who knows, right? But not necessarily everything's impacted the same, you know. So there could be teams ready to roll still 2023 with their games, and maybe it could be more than 1 or 2. I don't know. Who knows exactly what it is, because a lot of times they wait till things like the Game Awards or E3 to announce the big fall stuff. So there could be expectations of maybe more than one 2023
Yes.
fall game, right? And that would have fallen in line with what they did in 2021. So it's not out of the question. And like in 2021, we got Halo Infinite, we got Forza Horizon 5. There was more than that too, though. There was also Psychonauts 2 hit.
Yep.
And then we also had some Age of Empires came out on PC as well, right? So you look at all of that and it's like, wow, that was a pretty damn good year. In fact, Xbox One Publisher of the Year in 2021. So to say that they wouldn't have had stuff for 2023 after 2022's games all got pushed, I don't know. I mean, it's possible they all got pushed as well. But if they come out and they do say, hey, that whole 12-month E3 thing we made up was all just for show and just pointless for us to even have even talked about within 12 months, it's just like takes away the whole point of that showcase. So if they come out and they say that, then and push stuff back further again, it kind of is like, oh, come on, man. Then it's like, it still kind of adds to the problems that they've already had in the past still. Now, that being said, if a game's not ready, don't put it out. You know what I mean? If it's not ready, don't
tell
put
us
it
you're
out.
polishing it.
Yeah, but
If
don't
you're
tell
polishing
us.
it.
Don't tell us you're polishing it if it's not ready to roll. And I have a feeling it's still going to be on point and on time, ready for next year. Redfall as well. There's talks of the Redfall beta happening as well.
Which makes sense for Arcane as well.
Forza's been really quiet. I haven't seen we haven't seen anything really except for the E3 show last year, right? So but Forza, I mean, I would imagine maybe like with that game because of how what's the word? How much they were input into a 2-year cycle before, they're used to working on short time schedules anyway. So the polishing on a game like Forza Motorsport may not be the same as like a game like Starfield, right? I don't know how that goes, but I wouldn't.
Turn 10 is notorious for being big time polishers, right?
Right, but they delivered their games every 2 years before.
Yeah, they did, but they didn't have to build a new engine.
That's true.
Right? They're working on a new engine. So the thing, we talked about this on the shop last weekend, and that's why I said if there's one that's going to get pushed out of this beginning trio of Redfall, Forza, and Starfield, it's Forza, I think. And not that I'm happy about that, but I think that because they said they're not going to start polishing until January, February.
Maybe it'll take them a few months.
Fuzzy says no. Fuzzy says they take longer than that.
So what do they do? Take like a month? All year to polish a 2-year game, though. You know what I mean? Like,
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I'm just saying that if they were going to move one and they were going to give a team more time,
I
think it'd be Forza, right? To push
just to move it out.
To move it to September, something like that.
Right.
That would make more sense to me, especially with how stacked second and third party is at the beginning of the year as well. I mean, we got Atomic Heart in there. We may get Stalker 2 at some point in that run as well. You've got the Age of Empires dropping. And I know Forza people, trust me. Again, I'm more of a motorsport guy than I'm probably equal at this point in my life. But I always think that I'm more of a motorsport guy than I am a Horizon guy. And I don't want to see it pushed either. But, with the way Turn 10 works, Mav could be correct. But from everything I've gleaned, and Fuzzy's obviously got his pulse over there.
Yeah.
I just don't think that I think they would rather have more time if they could, and Phil may give it to them. And just push it till the fall. Because that would strengthen the fall lineup. With how strong the beginning of the year is, the fall lineup, even if they do have one or two more Mav, an Avowed or a Hellblade 2 thrown in there, to drop Forza, late summer, and then have late summer, early fall, and then have an Avowed or Hellblade 2 rocking and rolling in there, or a Contraband or something like that. That would be huge for that second half lineup as well. So be interesting.
Yeah. I hope all those games launch in the first half like they said they were going to.
Yes. And so do I. I think it's time that they start keeping their word on things. Yes, I agree.
But we'll see. I mean, we'll see what they do. If one gets delayed, it's not the end of the world, right? I mean, it's like, oh my God. There's so many damn things to play, including Diablo 4 is rumored for April as well, which that's going to be a monster of a game, right? So with everything there is, it's like, does it really matter? It only matters to me because of them again making promises, right?
Correct.
So,
Correct.
I want to play these damn games. I want that conversation of Xbox has no games, all that stupid stuff to die. I know the
Mhm.
goalposts will just move again. But even like Keeley today, it's the Xbox Series X 2 year anniversary, right? So
Yep.
Keeley made a post and he's like, "Hey, it's Xbox Series X 2 year anniversary. What's your favorite game from the last 2 years?" You
Nice
gotta
segue, by the way.
see,
Let's
yeah,
go.
you gotta see the amount of people on there that just said Xbox has no games. What are you talking about? What's the favorite game, right? Well, then you look at it like, well, I guess obviously there's a lot of stuff to play, and it's ridiculous
Sure.
conversation. But at the same point, we did have a year this year that was very light on first party, even though there was plenty of stuff to play. So there's a reason they're able to do that, because if you just have the barrage of games out there, then it's a ridiculous thing to ever even say in the first. You know what I mean? As
Yeah.
ridiculous as it is now, they wouldn't be able to use that argument again, and Xbox would be
Right.
able to move on from that mantra, which is the biggest stigma against the brand still.
Correct. I think everybody here wants to end it. And Polybaba, real quick, Diablo 4, yes, it's going to be on console. It's been built from the ground up for console and PC this time around. So yes, Diablo is big time console. It's multi-plat. But yeah, no, Mav, to your point, as we roll into this second year, it is sad that we still have that narrative. Like, this narrative was supposed to die. Like, all the acquisitions that Xbox made, and again, we don't have to go through them. Everybody in our chat, anybody who listens to PM and the PM knows all the acquisitions that have been made, and not including ABK. All the acquisitions they were made were supposed to end this. Unfortunately, time frame wise, and again, Mav and I have made this point multiple times for the people who try to say that nothing's been done at Xbox, that their bad management has caused this to happen, that there's no games out. If you go time frame wise of where all those studios were when Xbox did acquire them, and what they had working on, and what contracts that Microsoft had to honor, and then you throw COVID and the world's pandemic and the chip shortage on top of that, it makes perfect sense as to why we wound up with a year like we did this year. Now, nobody Xbox probably could have sat back and ever thought they were going to wind up in this spot. Obviously, we were supposed to get Redfall and Starfield last year. We were supposed to get those two, and nobody would have been talking anything. That was supposed to be the start of the new Xbox era. We're 2 years into a console generation, and we still have that narrative, as ridiculous as it is, and we all know it. Again, they always fall back. If you call them out, if you call the clowns out, they always fall back on, well, we're talking about AAA first party. It's always a goalpost move when they say it, but they say it in general as if Xbox players aren't playing anything, which is completely ridiculous. So, but the fact is that that is one narrative that Xbox has to kill, and it's going to. Obviously, again, as we've all said, unless you think all these people are doing nothing, all these dev teams are doing absolutely nothing except for taking Microsoft's money, and Microsoft is looking at them going, "Yeah, we're just going to pay you to sit around," and they're not actually making any of these games. Of course, it's eventually going to happen, and we all assume next year is the start. Now that this year happened, next year is the start, and it's going to start early in 2023, or it should start early in 2023, and then it should keep rolling. But as we do get this 2 year anniversary, Mav, taking a look back at the first 2 years of the series consoles, take out everything that happened, and I'm not saying ignore it because it was a big part of it, but take everything that happened. There has been more ups for the first 2 years than downs, I would say, in my opinion, for Xbox and the series consoles. What the series consoles brought to this generation, this new generation, is a lot of value, not just because of Game Pass, but a lot of those just added bonuses, such as the FPS boost, the backwards compatibility, the SSDs, all that stuff. The Xbox Series consoles have pushed forward in a lot of ways where we kind of stalled out on the Xbox One generation. And so I think from that perspective and what we've gotten in Game Pass and what Microsoft has invested and is trying to invest in right now with this, the biggest deal ever in Microsoft history, one of the biggest deals in tech history of all time, goes to show you how far they've come with the Series consoles. And I think we're seeing the Series S take off. The Series S is doing exactly why they designed it. It is becoming that companion console. It's becoming that console for the masses out there to get introduced into this generation. So I think as we look back on 2 years, I would personally say there's been more success than failure this time around. The Xbox One started very good too. People forget that. As much as they got hammered at their showcase when they finally announced the Xbox One and TV, and Donnie D doing his thing, as much as they got hammered, the first year of the Xbox One was pretty damn stellar. They had great sales. They had a lot of good games.
Yeah.
They had a lot of good exclusives. But in the end, we saw how that turned out. That didn't matter. Now, the Xbox Series console came out and was announced. And when we look back on that, it was a surprise announcement. The Game Awards, when they announced the Series X, when they first showed it, Series S was still in hiding. There were still some people that doubted it existed at the time. But the Series X was announced, and everybody, after they got over the initial, like, what is this thing? Why does it look like a monolith? Why does it look like a refrigerator? Why does it look like this? It started getting positive buzz once the specs started coming out because Phil erased what happened in the Xbox One.
Powerful refrigerator.
Powerful refrigerator. And they proved it through the text that this was going to be that box. And they didn't talk anything about multimedia or TVs or Kinects or anything. This was just a gaming machine. And as we continued forward up to launch and then into launch, we had the disappointment with Halo Infinite not being there, obviously. That was a huge disappointment. But we started playing the third-party games like Valhalla, like Watch Dogs Legions. As far as many problems as that had, it still was one of the first games with ray tracing that actually showed off ray tracing. If you played in that mode, it was incredible to see that. We had things like that when we started playing these third-party games that we could start to see kind of where we were going this generation. And we got introduced to 60 frames, Mav. We got introduced to 60 frames consistently on console. And then all of a sudden that bell started going off in all our heads. Wow, this really is different playing at 60 frames, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think overall for me, on this 2-year anniversary of the series consoles, there have been some setbacks. Obviously, there was a ton of stuff going on in the world that caused a lot of it. And there's been a couple, bumps in the road here and there, trying to raise the price on Xbox Gold, all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, we've seen Xbox start to fire almost on all cylinders. Now we got to wait till these teams start hitting, and that starts next year. But we have gotten, they did get Halo Infinite out a year later. Again, came out, it was good, people praised it, just lack of content that's brought it down now. And they're starting to fix that. We got Forza Horizon 5, freaking amazing. It should have been up for Game of the Year, should have been in the talk, in the conversations. Playground continue to do what they do. We got Flight Sim, which again, even if you want to laugh it off and dismiss it and say, all you Xbox owners, you just pop it in for 5 minutes, fool around with it, and you uninstall it and you move on. But it showed off the tech that Xbox has been building with the cloud and the ability to stream in assets on the fly of the entire world, which there isn't a game on PlayStation 5 that does that right now.
Right.
So we've gotten things like that. We've gotten the Gears Tactics, which nobody saw coming, and it was a PC game. And sure, it might not be for everybody, but we got those games that everybody's expecting, and the third parties are jumping on. And now we got Japan on board. All of this has been building from what Phil, Sarah Bond, Greenberg, the rest of the team over there have been doing, even prior to the launch of the series consoles, and now. And now they're starting to see the fruits. And now it's just next year we're going to get the rest of it. We're going to get all the first parties titles start dropping. But for you, Mav, overall, 2 years in, success, failure, somewhere in between. What do you think, brother?
2 years in, it's still a success. I mean, this was a challenging transition, right? for Xbox and for a lot of gaming, right? You had the world with COVID and all those things that was nobody could have anticipated, right? You have a company doubling and tripling down on investments into gaming, starting off brand new games, having to wait till existing projects had to be finished, contractual obligations had to be finished to be able to kickstart a lot of new games. You had definitely some failings, right? Stuff that's been in the works for a long time, stuff that had been announced a long time ago, existing studios still had never delivered, right? Things like Everwild, right? You could point to that was announced forever ago, and for some reason we still don't know what that game is or when it's going to come out, or except we know
They
that
don't know what it is.
yeah, except that Rare's making it, right? So there's definitely examples of failures, right? Halo Infinite was delayed a year and then still failed to meet the content demands from the community for the year after it launched, but they did still launch a good product, right? So you got to give them credit there, and they're still working at it. And like I said from the get go, that the Halo Infinite is going to end up being okay because of how important it is to Microsoft. They're not going to abandon it. They're going to keep putting content in, and eventually it'll be back. And this winter update is a huge start for that. So there's been successes. I would say 2021 was a fantastic year for Xbox. You had all these Game Pass deals that was blowing people away, coming out of left field that people had never seen before. These third-party deals, all of a sudden,
Outriders,
was a thing. MLB The Show,
MLB The Show, yep.
Things like that. It's like, whoa, this changes the game forever. Big, like, AAA type games coming into Game Pass day one. That was not a thing before, So you had deals like that. You had the first party killed it in 2021 with Forza Horizon 5, Halo Infinite launched successfully. It had a really good launch, actually. Then you also had those other games we talked about earlier, Age of Empires. You had Flight Sim go to console as well. Yep. Then you had Psychonauts 2, which won Game of the Year at one of the biggest, most prestigious, actually, Critics Awards as well. Mm-hmm. So you had a lot of different successes in 2021. Now, 2022 felt like a step back in some ways because a lot of the titles that we had anticipated was, they got delayed, just like everything else did in 2022, pretty much. However, when you go and look at it, like PlayStation had a good lineup because those were all supposed to be 2021 games, right? So that works out. It's like, remember 2021, they had the second half on PlayStation. They had the very lackluster second half. There was like hardly anything, right? And they faced the same problem.
They didn't have anything from June till February. Until Horizon.
So you had like 8 months of dead time, pretty much, right? Yep. And I mean like no first party between then at all, right? The Xbox has still had first party games this year. They've had As Dusk Falls, which was published by Microsoft. They had they have Pentiment coming in November. You've had updates on massive titles constantly. A lot of live service stuff. Grounded officially launched this year as well. So they've had a lot of stuff still this year, just not that like AAA big, huge game that's like going to drive home the excitement, which we were supposed to get 2 to maybe 3 of those this year, right? Between Starfield, Redfall, and Forza Motorsport, a lot of us had anticipated was going to be this year. And I think internally it was probably pushed back without ever the announcement being made, right? So 2022 felt like a step back with that. However, Game Pass still has found a way to double down on its value. Adding more and more experiences. Day one indie titles are a thing to be expected almost every week now, it seems. I mean, games like Vampire Survivors and
Persona 5 just dropped.
It's insane, man. It's like so many things happening with the brand, and so many things are finding ways to add value. Then also you can chalk up wins to the hardware right now because it's available.
Yes.
It's still not, you can't just walk into any store and grab a Series X, right? I would say that there's a lot more available than they were. Series S is pretty damn available, and they're very inexpensive too. And these Black Friday deals are going to be insane. So availability of hardware has been a big improvement for 2022. The hardware sales are still doing good, services are doing good with them. So as far as a company wide, I think they're pretty damn happy. Especially if they compare their year to and staying stable compared to what PlayStation's year was with their dollars and cents, regardless of the games at launch, right? So, um, platform wise, I think it's in a good spot. It's like primed and ready. You know what? I feel like the last 2 years have been getting Xbox to the place to where it's like in a nice stable place to where now it's primed and ready for the world to change its mind about Xbox as a brand, because like once all those titles hit next year, it's going to be absolutely insane. That mixed with Game Pass deals, mixed with the ABK deal probably closing in like May, June, or whatever. I think
March.
Yeah, March. It combined with whatever games they announce. You got the Game Awards leading up into next year as well. So I honestly think that this next like December through like June, there's gonna be so much freaking crazy Xbox news and excitement that it's going to catapult them with the mainstream more than it's been since the 360 days, right? I really honestly feel that. So while I would say like the first 2 years have had bumps in the road, right? I think there's definitely more there positive than there was failings, and I think it has catapulted Xbox into be coming more of a mainstay now, where people were worried about it in the past. Now it's like, okay, there's no more worry. It's solidified. Now let's just get the content, right? Mm-hmm. Let's just get the first party stuff, and that's all that we need. That's the last check mark, right? The big first party titles and a regular cadence. That's the last thing. What else is missing? Right? There's nothing else. It has more value than any other platform. It has the best hardware, I would argue, out of any platform. It has the most accessibility out of any platform because you can play it anywhere. It has the best rewards system of any platform. All you're missing is the regular cadence of the big titles, which we know they've been investing in since 2017 or 2016 or 2017, I think was the first big acquisition, right?
The first, start.
So once these games start really paying off, I mean, it's insane, dude. I'm really pumped for where the brand is going, and 2020. If you talk back at like next anniversary 2023, be like, wow, oh my god, holy shit, what a crazy ride the 3 years has been, and look how transformed the brand is, and it's already gained a lot of market share. So it's already
that's
working.
That's what I was gonna say. Even without the content, which in gaming is the most important thing, without your first party content, Mav, they've taken back market share.
Yeah,
like you said, they're prime. That's one major thing they can hang their hat on that nobody talks about. You can bash Xbox all day long. You can say that the first party titles haven't been there. That's fine. But the fact is this generation, Xbox is selling.
Yeah.
Then you can go ahead and try to move the goalposts and try to say the S shouldn't count. Well, guess what? It still counts. Whether you like it or not, it still counts. To Sony, it still counts. And Xbox has made great strides. We're not seeing the divide. Sure, PlayStation 5 is still outselling Xbox, right? But we've seen Xbox take weeks in a row of sales. And sure, you could say, well, Sony just didn't have the stock, whatever the case may be. You can make all the excuses you want. The fact is that last generation, if both were in the same position and the word on the street was the same as last generation with Xbox, people would have been holding on to their money. They would have been waiting to get a PlayStation. But now you don't see people doing that. You see people waiting to get an Xbox.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why. And that's because of all the work they've done, Mav. Like you said, you can sit here and say, you can be disappointed. Even as an Xbox fan, you can be disappointed and you can be critical of this year and what happened. But overall, if you are any type of connected person to this community, or you keep up tabs on the news, you can see the change. You can see the change in the media. you can tell that everybody's just kind of waiting for that last piece to drop into place, which is the first party content. And that is starting next year, like Mav and I just both got done saying. Next year should be the year. As I said on other shows earlier this year when we were criticizing them for 2022 when Redfall and Starfield both got pushed, I said next year there's no excuses. I don't care. Okay? Outside of war erupting in America or somebody dropping an EMP and wiping out everything, Xbox has no excuses next year. Next year has to be the year. And the way it's lining up right now, it is going to be the year. And in fact, they're not only just sitting on what they told us during the Xbox Bethesda showcase, they've been adding to next year as far as what's coming. They just added Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. They just added Age of Empires 4, both coming for console next year. And you could say, those are old games. They're on PC. Don't matter anymore. And we're just talking about the console portion of this because this is the series anniversary. But if you look at Xbox overall and the growth that they've seen with PC Game Pass and in mobile, exactly what they've been trying to do, it's huge. It's gigantic what they're starting to push right now. That's why you see more and more companies not skipping Xbox this time around and coming on board. And we see more and more games from across the world being launched on Xbox simultaneously with everybody else. Sure, still got the Square Enixes out there. Still got those companies that skip. But you're seeing less and less compared to last generation and how it ended. And that's because everybody knows Xbox is growing. And so this first 2 years, again, I got to say, just like Mav, it's been a success. There's been bumps, but a lot more good than bad this time.
Well, I'd say
that's for sure.
Xbox has got to be extremely happy where they're at with having all the delays and having all those things happen. They got to be extremely pleased. Gaining that much market share in such a short period of time, without even having that first party lineup, it's kind of been a proven success of the model they have going forward, right? So, again, all this without the monster first party cadence, Yeah. So
it's gigantic. It's a huge W for them to get to this point without that. Well, I think we covered the 2 years there. Quick shout outs here for everybody in the chat. Love you all. Thank you for joining us. And if you're joining us in the future, listen, we love you the same. Thank you for dropping in whenever you do. We love you all. But Siki, great to see you. Master Clowns X3, awesome to have you in here. Psychonauts, brother from another, you know what it is. Thank you for being here. Gerald Mac, salute. Thank you for dropping in here and saying hi to us. Appreciate the support. Jason Max, great to have you in here. Gogo Poe, always hanging out in the chat with us as well. We got Talos Ray in here. Of course, we've got the Great Outbreak podcast. That's right, Dave is hanging out with us. Go check out his channel and check out all the interviews he does one-on-one with people. Amazing. And of course, you can catch him over on Double Barrel Gaming for at least, I think, 2 shows now, Dave. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's over with Boom on at least 2 shows a week. Go check him out. Just saying, great to see you, my friend, for sure. Awesome to have you in here. UK Lad, always checking us out as well. Polly Baba, great to have you in here, brother. RazorNZ, all the way from New Zealand, as always stopping in here. It's Timmy is in the house. What's going on, Timmy? Who else we got in here? We got Relzer 0000. Great to see you, Relzer. Let's see who else is in here. Man, we got a lot of conversation. CMA, the CMA's in here, Mav.
Yeah,
they might be looking. I think that's probably FARQ. That's
what I thought. But it turns out it
changing his name. But Psychonauts timed him out for 300 seconds.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that is or not. But if the CMA is listening, hey, listen. Hope you guys are getting your education. In this ABK deal, just pass it. All right, it's better for gaming, better for everybody. What else we got here? Who else we got in here? Vic the Click dropping in here, of course. Vic, what's going on, brother? Great to have you new. Jigga J, always dropping by to say hi. Spider-Man 356, of course, is in the house. And we got the beautiful Miss Caitlin dropping in here, who did another amazing thumbnail for us today and tweeted it out. So thank you very much, Caitlin, as always, for all the work you do behind the scenes. Why So Serious is in the house saying hi as well. Bean, what's going on, Bean? Great to have you here as well. Let's see. Masshole 1977. What's going on, my friend? Thank you for dropping in with me and Mav, saying hi. What's going on? Def Leopard's in the house, of course. Def, what's going on, buddy? Papa Woody's here. Tony Grasso, of course, is hanging out, lurking around. Steel even dropped in here. He's lurking. He's probably playing Vampire Survivors right now because he's addicted, Mav. Steel is addicted to Vampire Survivors.
Is he? You got a problem, Steel?
Yeah, he put it on PC thinking not much. He's like, because he's heard me talking about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we talked about it on Living Split Screen last weekend because it's coming to Game Pass. And so he was like, oh man, I might have to check that out. And sure enough, now he's tweeting about it. Now he's going to war with people on there, talking about this is a great game, blah, blah, blah. Steel's all in. Andrew Cullinane, what's going on with you as well? See if I missed anybody that popped in at the bottom, which usually happens. Wilfred Rosario, 3-bit. What's going on, brother? I think that's about it. I think I got everybody. Lore Master Jasper.
Yeah,
Actually, guy. There he is, FARK. Pong, I'm not CMA. I can be if you want me to be.
Right.
Thanks, FARK. So that was some troll in here. Thanks for getting him out of here, Psycho, if that's the case. They're back again, but just behave yourself, CMA.
I know who it is. It's fine.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, awesome. Dova 360, great to see you in here as well. So we got a great chat tonight. All right. Let's see, Mav. Where should we go here? Should we jump into the main topic? Look at us. We just BS'd for an hour, right? We just kept rolling through.
Yeah, we kind of got through a topic. One of our topics was going to be the Xbox 2 anniversary.
2 anniversary, and we did. You transitioned nicely right into that, and we rolled. So it worked out great. Want to get into our main topic?
Yeah, let's do it. Whatever you want, man. Let's go for it. Let's have
all
some
right,
fun.
let's do this. So
speculation town.
Yeah, a little speculation town here. Let's not really. I mean, this is coming from the horse's mouth right here. As much
speculation
as
station instead of town.
Station.
Okay,
it's a rest stop.
Rest stop. Speculation rest stop.
Yeah, right before you get into town, it's like the rest stop. All right, so Phil, he's been on a talking circuit, man. Phil has been everywhere.
So is Matt Booty. Matt Booty's been like really public lately, which is weird. I'm not used to seeing that.
Yes.
I'm not used to seeing that much booty around.
Whoa, pause. Okay. Caitlin, get on that. Listen, Matt Booty still isn't comfortable either on camera. It's pretty funny watching. I mean, he's good.
Yeah.
He's very good.
Oh,
He's a nice
I like
guy,
what he says.
but you could tell. Yeah, but you could tell that like this is not his.
Do you think they asked him
Phil
to do that because like, to give people more updates on what the studios are up to? Yeah, in a way, because like he kind of has his hands on with everybody a little bit, and he can give little exciting nuggets to keep the community at bay while these games are being made. Because it's weird that you don't hear from the guy almost at all for like years. I mean, talk about years, and all of a sudden you see him in like 4 interviews in the course of a couple months.
And this is what happens when a brand starts to get more popular as well, Mav. When it starts to make a move like this, like the people that could sit in the background and not say a whole lot. Because what was Matt Booty going to talk about during the Xbox One generation?
Yeah.
Hey, we got another Gears and Halo game in the works. Like,
yeah,
right. So now with as many studios, like you were just saying, as they do have, with all the content that they got coming down the pipeline, now that Xbox brand is gaining that mind share back again, then people like Matt Booty got to get out in front. And obviously Phil can't do it all the time. And like you said, Matt Booty has different insight than Phil. He's got different perspective than Phil does. Phil's got a lot on his plate right now. That's why I can't believe he's doing this many interviews. It's crazy. Yeah. But let's see. So what we got here? This is from BGC. Phil Spencer wants to talk to Blizzard about classic RTS games like StarCraft. Chat, maybe all you aren't in RTSs, but when you come and see Pong and Mav, you're coming to 2 big RTS games.
Get a little bit of RTS discussion here on PM and the PM.
Yes, that is right. Especially when Phil Spencer starts talking about RTSs, because Phil likes RTSs as well, which is a good thing for us on console, as we've talked about many times. The Xbox boss wants to talk about back catalog and opportunities that we might have. Microsoft's head of gaming has said he's keen to sit down with Blizzard to discuss potential opportunities for its classic RTS games, such as StarCraft. Speaking to Wired, Phil Spencer was asked if he would like to revive the sci-fi strategy series once Microsoft's proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard completes. Quote, the first thing I would say is I'm not allowed to make any decisions about what happens at Blizzard and Activision or King, he replied. So this is all just kind of talking and thinking about what the opportunity is. But you're absolutely right. Not only StarCraft, but Warcraft, when you think about the heritage of RTS games that we're talking about here, specifically from Blizzard. And I don't think I don't have any concrete plans today because I can't really get in and work with the teams. But StarCraft was a seminal moment in gaming, right? From an esports perspective, from RTS on console perspective, and from just an RTS storytelling perspective in the genre. He added, quote, and I'm excited about getting to sit down with the teams at Activision and Blizzard and King to talk about the back catalog and opportunities that we might have. So I will dodge the question other than to say it's not something I can actively work on right now, but the thought of being able to think about what could happen with those franchises is pretty exciting to me as somebody who spent a lot of hours playing those games. Activision CEO Bobby Kotick has also expressed a desire for the company to revive classic franchises under Xbox, should its acquisition be approved by regulators. Speaking to VentureBeat earlier this year, Kotick cited Guitar Hero and Skylanders as two franchises that were extremely popular for Activision in the past, but were eventually shelved for numerous reasons to go work on Call of Duty nonstop. One of these reasons was the need for a separate manufacturing team, something Kotick said he wasn't prepared to set up, but that he feels Microsoft should be equipped for. He also said that he hoped Microsoft would use its social integration tools to make the Candy Crush series a more engaging multiplayer experience. All right. So, Matt, StarCraft. I always want to say Starfield every time I start with Star. StarCraft and Warcraft. Like, Phil didn't just say StarCraft or Warcraft. And we talked about this previously when this acquisition was first announced and we were going through all the IP. And this was at the top of everybody's list. And for people who are younger or people who never were in the RTS realm back in the day, you all might not understand how big StarCraft actually was in its prime. You might not understand worldwide what StarCraft was like. That was a household name. Okay?
One of the first big esports games, period.
Right.
Also.
Right. One of the first big ones. It's still played to this day in South Korea, by the way. They still have paid tournaments of StarCraft over there. So people don't understand. And then people, even going further back, Warcraft. Well, you all know World of Warcraft. Everybody knows World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And the iteration that it is today. But you don't realize that Warcraft started as an RTS. And that was even prior to StarCraft. And Warcraft was a big RTS on PC. And then they created World of Warcraft out of it, which made it the phenomenon that it became. And we all know the history. So, but man, when you hear this stuff, because we talked about this when the ABK deal, but now Phil is reiterating it again. And of course, Phil has to say, look, I can't make any decisions. I'm not telling the teams to do anything. This is just me thinking out loud. If this goes through, what kind of opportunities do we have? The excitement in the fact that we could get a StarCraft RTS and that StarCraft as an IP, again, it wasn't just a simple RTS. You think of Command and Conquer, that kind of stuff, even if you know what Command and Conquer is and how popular Command and Conquer was at one point as well. StarCraft was different when it came to the lore that was involved with it. It has Halo, Gears of War type lore attached to it. So in this day and age of transmedia, StarCraft can go a lot of different ways if you bring it back. It doesn't have to be just an RTS. Again, they were creating StarCraft Ghost, which was a first-person shooter, action adventure game.
Yeah.
And it It was real. It's in magazines. You can go look at the old magazines. It was close to being put out and then became vaporware and never has shown its face again. You can bring that back again. You can get into movies. You can get into TV. There's all different things. But StarCraft, man, talk about your perspective. You remembering StarCraft, how big it was. What would this mean for Xbox to bring this back if this ABK deal goes through?
Well, StarCraft is an interesting game for me because I was more of a Command and Conquer guy back then, and StarCraft was like the other RTS, right? For a lot of people. And I remember seeing everybody play it, and I tried it, but my PC sucked too much because it was so fast paced. I was able to play Command and Conquer more because it was more slow paced, and even though my PC sucked, the frame rate and the crappiness of it didn't matter as much. But the StarCraft was on another level, right? Like with the speed and stuff that you had to play that game, and that's why you got a lot of the RTS pros out there for that, because
there's still videos up, folks. Go and watch those Korean players play StarCraft. Talk about keyboard mouse control. Insane.
Yeah, absolutely insane. I remember like, this is too much for me. I can't. This is crazy. I'm gonna stick to Command and Conquer. So I just mained Command and Conquer, but I always like watched StarCraft from afar, in hopes one day I would have the PC rig or whatever to really get into it and stuff. And by that time I did, StarCraft is like non-existent. Now I could go back and still play. Like StarCraft 2 is probably still a really enjoyable experience. You know what I mean? It did have a resurgence. People forget this too. Like, was it like early 360 era or around that time? StarCraft 2 came out and
yes.
Was a huge phenomenon even then, right? Again, it became really, really popular. But, it's been a long time since then. It's been a really long time since that game's come out. And then there's also no Warcraft RTS games, right? So I feel like I've always been waiting for that next one from them to really get into it. And become a StarCraft player, right? Whereas while I was Command and Conquer, Lord of the Rings, or whatever, I was playing all these different RTS games. It always has had my interest. And I feel like it's a franchise that would do wonders across the ecosystem that Xbox has. And I think Phil sees that because you have a lot of opportunity for doing a lot of like different experiences across the different devices that they host with brands like StarCraft and Warcraft. I feel almost like in a way bad for Phil because like I like the kind of gamer that he is and the history that he has playing like these old school kind of games, he's chomping at the bit, right? He's gotta be, man, because like, it's like, man, can we get this deal done so I can actually get in there and like talk to these devs and see what they want to make. And like the other aspect to StarCraft is he's not the only one that's teased this. Micah Barra, former Xbox employee who is one of the executives at Blizzard now, in response to somebody asking or bring back StarCraft, he did like a smiley wink face, right? So
it was the actor from the Marvel movie.
Yes, it was Shang-Chi actor.
Yes.
Fucking hell, what's his name? Simu Liu. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it was Simu Liu, and he was like, bring back StarCraft, and Micah Barra did like the wink face to him. Yeah, so I like, there's reason to believe it's happening. I think the Blizzard team wants to do it. I think once this ABK deal it happens, I think Phil wants to do it. Obviously, it's one of the most popular franchises they have. Blizzard's working on numerous things right now, though. They got Overwatch 2 that they're still working on and supporting over a long period of time. I mean, that game's gonna last forever, probably. You got this new survival game they're coming out with as well. They still have Hearthstone that they do, and what else do they got? They got World of Warcraft still, and I mean, there's so many different things that they make. Diablo 4 is the big one, and they also have Diablo Immortal. So, as far as Blizzard, I mean, they got their hands full, but I think there's a team that they're just going to spawn off and really focus on that RTS and bring it back. Question is, will it be on everything? And I think it will be. I think this is one they'll be going to prioritize to be on console. be on PC, and anywhere that you can get a controller or a keyboard, right? So I'm excited.
Yeah, I think now that Age of Empires 4 has shown that they're going to be coming to console, I think that's the philosophy going forward. And I think that, you know, if they were to restart this project, Phil specifically said it was a seminal moment that it came on console because StarCraft, for people who don't know, it was on the 64, wasn't it? I think it was
Yeah,
on the Nintendo 64. They actually ported StarCraft to the Nintendo 64,
yeah,
and so I think Phil has made it a priority for the first party teams that if something's on PC, it needs to come to console at some point. We saw it with Gears Tactics, we saw it with Flight Sim, and now we saw it with Age of Empires. So yeah, I think it would make a lot of sense. And Blizzard does have obviously some experience with getting their games to work on console. So I think it would make sense if they transfer to that. And again, along with this, I think that team's been chomping at the bit to start on World of Warcraft 2. And I think that would be the other thing that would be
yeah.
greenlit almost immediately.
How monster
And
could that be?
bro,
And you just like say, all right, everybody eventually will migrate to World of Warcraft 2 automatically. It's there.
Yep.
But you'd also
Yep.
have it like
and build it from the ground up for console as well.
Yeah.
Think about the opportunities, man.
It's a big undertaking, but it is a big opportunity.
Phil's got to lay in bed at night when he's racking his brain, when he finally lets his brain relax and he gets away from the business side of things and becomes a gamer again. And he looks at ABK and he's just got to rub his hands together and get chills like we do, like of the opportunities available.
Yeah, it's like you can go to Toys for Bob. What do you guys want to make, right?
Yep.
You go to like High Moon. Hey, you guys, you've been forced to be supported COD. What do you want to do now? All these different studios are going to have opportunities to potentially work on different stuff. Sledgehammer, maybe not the best Call of Duty people out there, although they're supposed to be making this big, huge expansion for Modern Warfare 2. Would you rather make something else and bring something else back? Like, let's let Treyarch and Infinity Ward handle that, right? I'm really curious now. Obviously, Call of Duty is still going to take a ton of support, right? I don't realistically think that all these studios 100% get freed, right, from it. I mean, there's definitely going to be some, but I do think some will be able to also have their own projects as well. So, besides that, Blizzard's and another beast in and of itself, right?
Yes.
So it was crazy, with the acquisition still though. Like I noticed when Activision had their like earnings report the other day, and like I was reading through it, and it just something stood out to me. It was like astounding, Pong. They talked about Candy Crush, being on top in mobile gaming for 21 quarters in a row. 21 quarters.
21 quarters, yeah. So basically
that's over 5 years.
Yeah.
That is like to be the dominant seller in any platform. And that's also mobile's the biggest platform there is, right? And with gaming. We also know that based on the Apple subscription numbers, Apple Arcade subscription numbers that are supposed to be out there, potentially reaching 100 mil for Apple Arcade subscriptions. As people are already trying to downplay those numbers. Well, it's because of the Apple One and all that stuff. Yeah, potentially, but there's still a subscription for Apple Arcade, right? It's like you don't discount it. That's absolutely astronomical, dude. Absolutely astronomical. 21 quarters. And if people are so focused on Call of Duty. Focused on Call of Duty as why the reason Xbox would want Activision Blizzard. The other thing that people don't realize, like Blizzard, as much as like Activision Blizzard helps with other things, it's gonna help with mobile as well. Besides just King,
it's the big thing.
Diablo Immortal is there. You got Call of Duty Warzone mobile coming. You have Call of Duty already exists on mobile for one thing, but you have all these other mobile experiences happening, and Microsoft wants a part of that, and they're all of a sudden after this deal is done, they're going to be one of the top mobile publishers in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Going from like last to like close to first, if they're not, or wouldn't be first. I don't know who. I mean, they'd have the top game.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
it's pretty insane. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on Google. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Apple, and because that's all of a sudden Xbox has control of the properties that sell the most on those platforms. Think about that.
Correct.
Right? It's pretty insane. Microsoft is making some big moves here. It's not all about COD. COD's going to be a big part of what they want. I mean, but it's at the end of the day, that's just a piece.
They've said it, man. It's the mobile part of it, and you said it perfectly. Everybody. That's why Take-Two just went out and spent $12 billion to get Zynga, which hasn't turned out to be the best because there's a lot of instability on the mobile market right now.
Yeah,
a lot of instability everywhere right now. A lot of people are worried.
Yeah, tech is huge loss.
Microsoft has lost $900 billion. Okay, in value. This is not a joke. Like Amazon's over $1 billion or over $1 trillion lost. Yeah, and Microsoft is on pace to be the next one that loses $1 trillion in value. That's
more than countries.
That's more than most countries' GDP. It boggles my mind to even be able to say that. The thought of that is crazy to me. But this is why everybody's been chasing the mobile market. I looked up some stats on Candy Crush, Mav. Not how much it makes because we already know that it outsells Call of Duty in total. But can you imagine the ROI? People have talked about this, that Candy Crush probably, I forget who the original developers were. I know that King bought them for I don't remember what it was. It was millions. But people said to build a Candy Crush game today would cost you and market it would be between $8,000 and $30,000. It's got to be one of the hugest ROIs ever in history. And that's why everybody chases the mobile market. Everybody. You only need one Candy Crush to change the entire fortunes forever. That's it. You only need one. And Microsoft's got it built in. And obviously they're going to hope that King can do more down the road than just Candy Crush. And they're also hoping that King is going to help them with their own mobile aspirations as well, which of course they will. They've obviously got the marketing down to stay on top for 21 quarters when nobody talks about Candy Crush anymore. I remember when everybody talked about Candy Crush, you'd be at work and people would be talking about Candy Crush.
Yeah. We're playing
just like
Candy
Angry
Crush.
Birds. Everybody talked about Angry Birds forever, right?
Yeah.
Everybody. I know you're a big Candy Crush player, right? But the fact is nobody talks about it anymore. And what does it do? It just sits there and churns out cash. It just sits there and churns out money. Nobody talks about it anymore. You don't see it on advertisements anymore. They don't have to. It's now its own living thing. Like people just have it and they just sit there and play it. That's why everybody chases the mobile market. And that's why King is so important to this ABK deal. And that's why, people like to say, well, Phil and Sati are lying when they say actually King is the most important piece here. Look, could they be overemphasizing King and underplaying Call of Duty? Of course. There's some of that gamemanship going on. But if you look at their long-term plans, 2 billion, 3 billion people, the majority of those people on mobile, no, King is the biggest, most important piece because they don't have any type of space in mobile. That's why they're building a mobile app to compete against Apple and Google. They're going to try to break open those stores and they want to get into that market because it's just printing cash. Again, when Microsoft made gaming a pillar of their business, of their $1 trillion company, we can still say it's a $1 trillion company now, of their $1 trillion company, this is the reason why. It wasn't because just Xbox. It wasn't because of just consoles. That's not what it's about. It's about what gaming brings in total. And when you start including PC, when you start including mobile, when they see what eventually like xCloud could start opening up down the road. That's why Microsoft made the decision to bring Xbox as a pillar in, make Phil CEO of Microsoft Gaming, not Xbox gaming anymore, Microsoft gaming, because they got long-term plans. Because this market, Strauss Zelnick just said in an interview a couple weeks ago, gaming's got at least another 20 years of growth. That sounds crazy, but that's coming from one of the smartest mans in this industry, a guy who knows what he's doing. 20 years more of growth at least. That's huge. We're already the biggest entertainment industry in the world. Give it another 20 years of growth, Mav. Talking about a big chunk of the pie, brother. Huge pie overall. And everybody's going to want a piece of that pie. So, Phil talking about bringing back, I know we got off on a tangent as we always do, but got sidetracked. But, again, all of it comes into play when Phil talks about this ABK deal. And Blizzard is going to be a huge part of their PC plans. Blizzard, if King is number one, Blizzard is number two in their plans because they want that PC market to expand. They want to get a bigger part of that PC market, not just because they've got Windows everywhere, not just because of all that, because they understand that the PC market is much bigger than the console market. Mobile market is much bigger than the PC market. They want it on all levels. And that's what they're going for. And Blizzard is a huge name. And bringing back something like a StarCraft, bringing back a Warcraft, potentially doing a Warcraft, World of Warcraft 2.0 or whatever you want to say, all of those things, wow. Like Mav and I are trying to tell you guys, for you guys who don't remember this or weren't around long enough to know about how big these games were at one point, you're talking about taking over. And you're talking about putting your stamp on the PC market. If you bring back StarCraft alone as the RTS, if you bring back StarCraft and Blizzard does it properly, you instantly become the heroes of the PC market for a large majority of PC players. And you become, for sure, the hero of the PC market in places like South Korea, where StarCraft, that's all anybody played for a long time. You will become instant heroes for bringing that game back. You will instantly raise your brand awareness. You will instantly raise your brand appeal all over the world with just one game, bringing it back because people have been clamoring for this. And then you go on top of it and say, yeah, we're going to do World of Warcraft 2. Bro, you're gaining so much favor from people because people know it would never happen underneath Bobby Kotick. It's Microsoft coming in, and the only reason those games get done is because Microsoft, it's underneath their umbrella. And you become fan favorites all of a sudden. Sure, you're still going to have some hate. Microsoft hate is never going to go away. But you will gain a lot of fans by doing that. And that's why it's an incredible move.
Yeah. I agree, man.
Yeah, I know you do. I say nothing wrong.
Yeah, you make good points. All valid.
Anything going in the chat, Mav, at all?
Yeah, I'm trying to start a war between the CMA, the EU, and the FTC.
I saw the EU had jumped in. We got the FTC in there now as well.
Yeah, the FTC was in the chat. The EU was in the chat. CMA. So the CMA says they're the best because they're the new kids on the block. The EU is a bunch of old powder wigs that don't know what they're talking about, and the FTC are the most corrupt regulatory body ever. I'm waiting for the FTC and the EU to respond. So far, the CMA is running away with it. They also say that they tweet what's going on and they're hip and fresh.
They're hip and fresh.
Right. That's pretty much the attitude that they have on Twitter, right? Sup, Infinite Umbra. How you doing, man? Yeah.
Okay. Listen, regulatory bodies. I'm glad you're all here.
Can we get some moving on here, regulatory bodies? Can we put a pep in your step? Because if it's not done by April, I might have to pay for Diablo, and I don't want to have to. As a cheap gamer, I'd rather save my $60-$70, whatever it's going to cost.
Yeah, so would I. That's why I said, when you said maybe May, June, I said no, March. Because get it done by March, Diablo could still sneak into Game Pass.
Yeah.
Still could sneak in there. If it comes out in April, which is the rumor.
Will you hold off in anticipation of the deal getting done?
If it's that close, if I know it's going through, probably.
Yeah.
because that would help my budget out tremendously next year if I don't have the value.
Because the
Every
amount of
game next year
games
is
there
going to
are
be
is insane.
yes, that's what I'm saying. Like every game that I can save on next year is going to be gold.
Crucial.
So yes,
Next
100%.
year is the year for every game to come into Game Pass.
Right, exactly.
Next year is
need to
the
go
year
make
we
more
want that.
purchases. Xbox, go make more acquisitions, please.
Well, how long? I have a question for you, Pong.
Yeah.
How long after the ABK deal closes before we hear about another acquisition? What's the time frame? Months? A year? Weeks? Months? Like
I think
less than 6?
Let's say the ABK deal goes through, is approved in March. They officially announce it in April.
Yeah.
Okay. They start that transition period. You saw that there was a posting job listing to help with the transition, to be like the go-between. What an incredible job. Can you imagine having that job? God, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
So let's say it closes. They officially announce it in April. I think that we could have single studio announcements for the Xbox showcase.
Okay. Like
I think we could have some of the.
Oh, you mean like acquisition announcements? Okay,
single studio acquisitions like IO Interactive or whatever the case may be, or a certain affinity. I think we could have those announcements on stage at the showcase.
Right.
Nothing made, not like publishers, not like big, but stuff that isn't going to even need approval, or stuff that is not going to matter to regulatory bodies at all. Mm-hmm. We could see that potentially at the showcase. What about you?
Yeah, I would. Here's the thing. I think they may make the deal on some privately owned companies potentially around that time, right? Around that E3 time, right? But I think that they're potentially would wait to announce it until after that, because I think if this happens at E3, they wouldn't want those to be blown out of the, fall under the, get overshadowed by ABK, right? So I think that they would focus the whole June presentation and stuff, with talking about they'd have some presentation where they kind of like they did with Bethesda and ZeniMax, where they ABK and everything together. They'll have a whole ABK presentation or whatever. They'll have the Bethesda presentation. They'll have the Xbox presentation, and I feel like announcing a couple smaller acquisitions at that time could just get lost in the shuffle. But however, maybe right after that, maybe Gamescom, right? So, but then the thing is, I think they're still. I mean, we know they're still looking for another publisher after that, at least in the East. So that's the one. It's because if they wait too long, what happens, right? They may want. Who knows what's going on with the environment the next couple of years, right? So,
yeah. And now with their value dropping the way they are too, that's going to get interesting as well.
Yes. Did his values drop too much to keep people from selling? You think? Or
I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen. And there's too many people hunting right now at the end of the day that I don't think values could drop. I'm just wondering if Microsoft's plans shift if the stocks continue to drop. If they shift, or if they say, screw it, we're even more of a buyer as these company stocks drop,
right,
because this is the time to get in. Even though it's a seller's market, what we're purchasing them at, if this was a great economy, we'd be purchasing them for even more. So maybe they continue, especially because gaming seemingly, again, with this ABK deal, gaming is their main focus right now besides Azure. Gaming is what they're all in on, as Satya said multiple times. So maybe they just keep going full bore. Maybe they just say, nope, screw it. We don't care if we lost $1 trillion in value. We're going to keep buying.
Yeah.
They could. So, but the publisher, you're right, Mav. I mean, again, if they get the ABK deal go through, do you wait a year before you go get another publisher in the East? That's the best question out there. Especially if it's something like a Sega. Do you press your luck? Again, I don't think there'd be any reason to stop it. But to start that whole and it wouldn't be anywhere as near as big as what ABK is, but the regulatory bodies are already going to be looking side-eyed at you, and you go out and purchase a Sega, like with Sonic coming back now, seemingly. Sonic's having a resurgence. Like all of a sudden, you're like, hey, we're back again.
Yeah.
We got Sega this time. You know, and we're going to go through that whole debacle again. I don't know, Mav. It's an interesting conversation.
Yeah. Because
How-
FTC can always go back and look at things.
They can.
And, you know, so
They
it's
can.
like, at what point, like, it's interesting that with the economy and everything going on too, like how much of an impact and well, when things will obviously bottom out at some point and then start going back up, right? So the question is, how long does that take, or what's going on with that process and everything there too. So as far as the economy goes, it's like, so that's just a thing you can never predict really 100%, right? So
Right.
But the thing is, there's only a certain amount of these publishers and studios. So
Correct.
if you just sit on your laurels and waiting for things, and you know, you may miss out on stuff. So I feel like they probably will still acquire another publisher and just be like, damned if we do, damned if we don't, right? Because they gotta try, if they want to nab one of those, because there's rumors that, you know, Square is still out there, you know,
Yeah,
you know,
we had that conversation with
um,
Argeet.
and not all, and some of these publishers are doing fine. They don't really need to sell. Their values are still holding, you know, but some of them are pretty weak right now. I don't want to throw a big, huge curveball into the conversation, but you know, with Sony as well,
Mhm.
I'm just anticipating potentially. Okay,
Yes.
if once this ABK deal does close, they could potentially take another hit on their stock,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Or if word is getting out that this is like a 99% sure thing, which the investors in stock right now, like they're pretty confident this thing's going to close, like according to a lot of the
Yeah,
analysts and stuff.
we had that BS article from WCCF Tech earlier
Yeah,
this week as well, which Hogue instantly shot down.
yeah,
Shout out to Hogue again. If you're not subscribed to him, go subscribe, please. Hogue's a great dude. Gives us so much valuable information. Again, he makes hundreds of dollars per hour as an attorney. He basically gives us attorney stuff for
for
free
free.
in this
Yeah,
community. Yeah, it's crazy.
thanks,
But he
Hope.
shot it down. But yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, there was an article saying, ooh, sources are saying that Microsoft could walk away from this deal, blah, 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 that it's getting too messy, et cetera, et cetera. Hogue shot it down right away and said, come on, you're not even naming sources. It's not even legit article. This is garbage. You don't have anything here. So, but then another one came out, Matt, that you sent in our DMs today, where a separate group, it's which group was it? Oh,
They're
God.
seeking alpha. It is one of the like
Yeah.
an investor, like people go to them for advice, right? And there's a
Yes,
bunch of other
yes.
there's others out there too. They're big time ones and stuff, and they're all pretty confident on this deal closing, and most of them are like at a high buy for a ABK with the confidence.
Yeah, Raymond James is the company that
Yeah,
increased the likelihood of this going through and actually raised. Analyst Andrew Marek raised his rating to outperform from market perform, noting that even though Activision Blizzard has traded at a discount to the $95 per share cash offer that Microsoft made in January, the discount is no longer justified given improvements in Activision's business. And so he increased it, and the other one increased it from the risk reward current levels as solidly to positive. So they bumped that up as well from Raymond
yeah.
James. So a bunch
They
of analysts are starting to
improved the ABK stock today as
yep.
well. It was
Yes.
raising because of this, like the anticipation and the likelihood from the analysts and stuff that are watching this thing, people that make these bets with a lot of money, right? Are betting on this deal closing, right? So, um, after it closes, I mean, I potentially think that could affect Sony even more than they already have been, which they've been hit hard, right? They've been hit hard. Um, so my thinking was, if they if they get down much further,
Yes.
like at what point does
Yep.
Apple's Amazons and these companies try and see what they could potentially do. I know in the regulatory environment that we're in, it'd be a hard acquisition for a lot of these big tech companies. I would think. I mean, there's as much scrutiny as Microsoft has had, but same point, man. Like a lot of things don't. A lot of these things that Sony has don't necessarily 100% go one for one with what their current offerings are at these companies. So could they get it through potentially? I'm not trying to say Sony's going to get sold. What I'm saying is they're becoming more and more vulnerable. And after this deal closes, they could potentially become even more vulnerable. Right?
Mhm. Yep. I said the vultures were already looking at them, Mav, at this point. The vultures are eyeing them from the trees, looking at them. If it drops even more because of the ABK deal, they're going to start to circle. They really are. And that's, again, that's just business.
Yeah.
And to your point, the more that we've gone down, I originally was on the Amazon bandwagon, but I think they would run into regulatory issues because of the movies and TVs and all that kind of, they would have a problem with that. Apple, on the other hand, not as much of a problem. Sure, Apple's under a lot of scrutiny. It would be definitely tested by the regulatory bodies, but Apple and Sony make so much sense because Apple has wanted to move into the TV hardware business. They wanted to have their own Apple TVs. Like, Sony gives them so much. And the other thing is, Mav, they know Microsoft is making a move on their mobile market.
Yeah.
They know Microsoft is going to try to bust open their stores. They could turn around and say, okay, you want to come into our territory? We're coming into your territory. And this could be that start. And I know people don't like it, but you could have potentially two of the biggest console makers be owned by trillion-dollar corporations.
Yeah.
And it would be an all-out battle. It would be bloodbath. It would be brutal out here in these streets. But I think that's certainly, I think you bring up a great point that this ABK deal could potentially drop Sony into the range where people will be even willing to test the regulatory bodies and say, no, this is such a good deal right now. We're moving in. We're going to go get this, right? Think about it. Sony's even started up their own electric car business.
Mm-hmm.
How much would Apple love to get in the electric car business right now?
I don't know.
I mean, an Apple branded electric car? Come on. Premium quality. Again, their philosophies match so well with each other that it just makes so much sense. Again, it would be a battle, and there's no doubt about it. But yeah, I think you're spot on. Just to go back real quick too, Matt, to Microsoft's purchasing. The other thing we do have to consider here is there is a point of growing too fast. And there is a point where the integration of Activision Blizzard and over 10,000 employees into Microsoft, that's going to take years. And their HR departments, their human resources, their personnel departments, all their tech departments, they're going to be overwhelmed to get ABK fully integrated into Microsoft. Not to mention the cleaning of house, which is still going to happen after Microsoft gets them. There's still going to be people that are going to have to go through. Maybe the ABK deal actually does have Microsoft put a pause on another big publisher. Even if it is at a risk of losing one, maybe they do hit the pause button on anything big until that ABK situation starts to level out and they feel comfortable that the 10,000 people they've brought on board are settled in, right? I think they potentially could put a pause on it. As much as that might mean they lose out on somebody, I think they might just have to, just from that standpoint. Because if you try to do another, like Sega's over 3,000.
Yeah.
So you try to do that on top of something like that, it'd be crazy. Now, like a Square Enix, if it's a smaller one, if it's like a Square, sure, that might be still possible. But I just think anything big in the East, they might hold off and just take their chances. That's the only other thought I had on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know how we got here.
Oh, because we're just going all over the place.
Yeah.
We knew this was going to happen tonight. We're going all over the place. Chat, we hope you're enjoying it. We hope you're having a good time here with us as we are in Speculation Town and we're thinking about down the road here in the future. This is all the cool stuff. This is the stuff that we get excited about. And I think we're in for a treat. This
Yeah.
generation is going to be fascinating no matter what at the end of the day, no matter what else happens.
Yeah.
Man, talking about, and for anybody who doesn't know, too, by the way, we're not going to talk about this. We've talked about it enough. Nothing's changed, but the European Commission has moved on to, we should just say it real quick. The European Commission has moved on to phase 2. They have a decision the decision will be made by March 23rd, 2023. I think they are the longest out of the bunch. So that's why I said March, because I think that would be the last major one that has to come to terms. But they have moved on. There was an interview. I'm going to go on a short rant, Mav. There was an interview today that Mav sent me that I saw floating around, and I didn't even pay any attention because it was making me mad.
Italian interview from the EU. Like the thing is, like people took like this out of context too, because if you listen to the actual interview, and I don't speak Italian.
You know Italian?
No.
Oh, I was just gonna say, wow, you're surprising me.
If I watched it with Translate on, right? They had captions. Okay.
Yeah.
And it was very like good captions. Actually, it's very easy to follow and read.
Okay. For anybody who doesn't know, let me just set it up and then you go because you watched it. I didn't watch it. The European Commission's spokesperson. So the European Commission has a spokesperson, basically a PR manager. And she's out here doing podcasts like a celebrity. And the way that they introduced her, Mav, was like she was like some kind of celebrity. And I
think she was there because in some of the comments, I was Google translating some of the comments as well.
Yeah.
People were like from like blah 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 to blah 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 to commissioner. Like I think she was like somebody that was involved with like gaming or podcasting or something. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know exactly.
It was crazy though. I mean, it's different cultures. So sometimes it doesn't, like, we're like, why are they making such a big deal? But literally, this is a podcast. This is like, if you know, somebody's PR manager from the government showed up on Mav and I's channel, like the FTC sent the PR manager to the PM and the PM, and we were like, man, tonight, and I give like this PR manager a full intro, like I did with King David, and we're like, yeah, chat, put your hands together. Like these guys were going nuts that this European Commissioner PR manager was a spokesperson. Was actually on their shows. It was weird to me. I was like, what is this? But anyways, continue.
So I was watching it, and she said specifically she couldn't talk about this deal and what's transpiring. So she's just talking about examples of deals, big deals like this, right? Now people are taking these quotes out as saying it's 100% related to this deal. It's what she's basically saying is when a big deal like this, like a $70 billion acquisition of a major company, goes into like a phase 2 investigation, basically there's like a back and forth, and there's a timeline. They have like 90 days or whatever, and there will be presentations, or they're basically, they will let them know the issues that they have with the deal right after during their investigation if something comes up, and then they give the company an opportunity to give a solution to that, right? The issue is clear that they don't come up with the solutions. The company comes up with the solutions to the problems that they foresee, right? So they present a problem, they give the company a chance to address with a solution, okay? But along that process, there's back and forth until they come to a road where they see a problem. Okay. So if they see a problem, they will let it be known. Company puts forth a potential solution to that, or they make a case and why it's not a problem, right? Depending on if they agree with that or not, they can decide to put things on hold until they present another solution or whatever, right? So it could drag on potentially for more than 3 months because of different timeline things that happen within the process. But big deals like this usually have some kind of concessions or commitments, right? Is what she said. That doesn't necessarily mean, and when she explained this as well, anything necessarily specifically to one thing. It can mean like how you do business in certain markets, or like how you do different things, or how long you have certain deals in place, what kind of deals you make to customers, or this could like go across the gamut of different possible solutions of things, right? So it's not necessarily like, hey, COD has to be a PlayStation exclusive for 8 years or something like. I mean, like, or like, I mean, it can't be a Xbox exclusive for 8 years, or you have to put it in PlayStation
Right.
Plus. It could be a numerous amount of little things, right? And these are worked out between them, right? And basically, also, she said if those things happen and it's agreeable, then the deals get passed, no problem, right? So she can't specifically say what if there's a big issue here about this. It's just that when they move into phase 2, after a preliminary look at it, and they ask if there's any um, commitments or concessions or the companies are willing to offer, and when they don't get a response, they move into a phase 2, which is a deeper investigation. And at that point is where they're at now. And now this gives basically Microsoft and them more dialogue and more time to come up with solutions potentially for some of the issues if they have any, right? That's all basically she's saying. But I saw people take out of there like that is some try to make like negatives, or specifically saying that this deal's going to have concessions, or this deal's going to have this or that. Basically saying like all deals like this pretty much have some form of commitments or concessions, but when they're this big, right? And they go into a phase 2. So that's not surprising at all, which we've been saying from the beginning as well. Now major concessions, that's different. Like, it depends on what the problems they foresee and what the things Microsoft comes back with. Bottom line is like, it doesn't seem to be like there's no red flags from this whatsoever. And honestly, it was watching and listening to it as an innocent interview, just describing the regulatory process more or less, right? And how these deals get looked at. She even went into examples of different kinds of big deals that they had to look at between like something like energy companies and stuff like that before.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yep. So it was like there was really nothing there, and the hosts were being very like, yeah, I understand what you can say, what you can't say, or whatever. You know what I mean? So there's really much to do about nothing.
Okay.
Much to do about nothing. There's really no information here regarding specifically this deal.
Right.
But it was informational about how the regulatory process works, right?
Sure.
So I found it interesting to listen to. I recommend anybody listen to it with an open mind and just like take it for what it is. She said specifically numerous times that she can't give any information about this deal whatsoever.
Right.
So that's just where it's at.
That's where it's at.
Okay. She just said it's in phase 2. That they just She said she was allowed to say where it's at, and they just went into phase 2 recently. And that's it.
Right.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'm glad you actually watched it, because I started watching it without the subtitles, and I was just like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'm like, she's not a celeb. Why is she on here like this? Anyways, I thought it was weird. So, but thank you for bringing context to it, Mav. Because yes, you were right. There's a lot of people on Twitter running with it that it was specifically about this deal, when obviously that's not the case.
Yeah, she was very specific about that.
Right, exactly.
Now, I don't speak Italian. I mean, I'm going off of Google and YouTube Translate, but it was very clear and easy to follow. You know what I mean? So unless there's errors in that, but it seemed to be 100% matched with what they were saying. So I don't think there's any mistranslation there.
Perfect. Just saying, we'll drop. I think, Matt, did you tweet it out or no?
I'll retweet it right now.
Okay, just saying, Mav is gonna retweet it right now. So
it was from Idle Sloth. Shout out to Idle Sloth for sharing it earlier.
Idle Sloth, of course, doing great work. Let me address something else in the chat too, because this is something that I think a lot of people get wrapped up in. Shane brought it up here, and Shane said no more acquisitions. Only reason people want Xbox to buy everything is to get free games. Has nothing to do with long-term financial viability. All right, Shane, you guys have been listening to us for or you've been listening to us for a long time, so you know how we work, right? So as the gamer, as the selfish gamer, and I think Mav will agree with this. Of course, we want more things in the Game Pass. Of course, it's great when they buy acquisitions and they can get things in the Game Pass. Right. Of course, absolutely. But I think that you've been listening to us long enough too, as well, Shane, that you do know that we do take the satellite view, that we try to look at this from the business side of things, because both Mav and I, Steele, a lot of people on all of our podcasts do have a general interest in the business side of things at all. So let me break it down to you how I look at this, Shane, and why I believe that Microsoft is making all these acquisitions and will continue to make acquisitions as well, as far as their long-term goals and what you call financial viability. And I'm not going to throw out macroeconomics here at you, okay? So don't worry about it. Listen, when you take a look at, and Mav, jump in with any points that you have too on this as well. When you look at their long-term goals, Shane, from what they've told us, again, none of us are in the board meetings, none of us are looking at the analytics, the numbers, or anything. Just from what we generally know here in the community, if you've been following along with what Microsoft has got going on, their goals aren't just about the short term, but they're about the 10, 15, 20-year goals. Their goals include, whether you believe them or not, reaching as many of the 2 billion to 3 billion people that are currently gaming across mobile, apps, console, PC. They want to grab as many people as they can and bring them into the ecosystem. The only way you're going to do that is by having enough content. And that content has got to be content that's on a consistent basis, as they've talked about nonstop. And then we're not just talking about the one game every quarter that Phil set as a goal for the console side of things for Xbox Game Pass, but we're also talking about PC. We're also talking about mobile. You can't do that by relying on second and third party deals. That's not the way that you will get consistent content. You can't rely on other people, other companies, to produce that content constantly for you. And to reach 2 billion, 3 billion people, you're talking about a lot. I said from the beginning, you can go back 2 years when I first started podcasting, and we were talking about these acquisition deals during the ZeniMax stuff. And you'll hear me say that I thought that they needed a minimum of 30, I think I said 30 plus studios. I might even said 35 plus studios as far as their goals go. Now, the Activision deal is going to put them over 30. Okay. But when you look at them going after 2 billion, 3 billion people, they're going to need to have their own self-service center for every type of content that they want to produce as far as games go, going forward into the future. So in fact, that even after the ABK deal, nope, they're not going to be done. They're not going to be satisfied with that. They are trying to insulate themselves. This is my own words, but they're trying to insulate themselves from the rest of gaming. Not that they're going to pull up the drawbridges and not work with anybody. That's the exact opposite of what they're going to do. But no matter what happens on the outside, no matter who gets gobbled up by Tencent or who gets gobbled up by Sony or whatever the case may be, or whoever's cutting deals with whoever on the outside, Microsoft wants to make sure that they can self-sustain no matter what happens to the industry. In order to do that, they're going to have to continue to make acquisitions. Now, is there a point where they finally have enough? Yeah, whatever that point is, I'm sure they kind of figured that out internally. But as of right now, with the way the industry is growing, and again, Strauss has got another 20 years of growth here, Microsoft is going to have to continue to acquire in order to make sure that they have the necessary content to support 2 billion, 3 billion people in their ecosystem.
Is that why Phil said in an interview recently that they're definitely not done? They can't rest on their laurels as well.
Correct.
Was that last month or last couple weeks ago?
Yes.
And he said that in an interview to major financial, it was CNBC or MS, somebody, I can't remember who the interview with, Bloomberg, one of those.
Yeah.
He said, is asked specifically if they're going to be acquiring more studios, and he said absolutely, they're going to be aggressive, and they can't not be aggressive because that's the environment that gaming's in. And not only that, but they need the content. To your point, Pong, like I think they need that content, and it's not just about the content though. It's also about the talk about giving away games for free or whatever. It's not free, obviously, you have a subscription,
Right.
but it's like
Yep.
you can't reach that amount of gamers selling games at $60, $70 a piece. Right? There's only so many people in the world, and that's been proven based on the market of console gaming, and PC gaming has remained pretty constant over the last 20 years. Mobile gaming has exploded, right? What is one reason? Ease of access, right? Low cost. Everybody has a device, first off, but a lot of the games are free to play, or they cost $1, $2 $3, $5. You even have some ports of games that come out on console that are like $60, $50, come out on mobile, they're like $10 or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like,
correct.
So that mobile gaming is very inexpensive. You also have these successful subscription services with mobile gaming as well that nobody really talks about, right? That's one of the reasons. It's ease of access. It's lowering the gate of entry into gaming, right? Game Pass is doing this with console level quality games and PC games, right? It is changing the model of access into the medium of gaming to where it's no longer going to be only available to the people that are willing to pay the high dollar for it, right? You're going to be able to pay a subscription fee and be able to get access to all these different titles, right? Now, what do you need to get people to subscribe? Is you need the content, and you also have to have a decently affordable price to drive the masses. That's their whole goal. Playable everywhere you possibly can be. Have as much content as you possibly can with a variety and quality and a good, valuable price. That's going to be attractive to the everyday consumer and potentially families everywhere. Hence why they're also introducing Game Pass Family. They're trying to actually lower the gate of entry into gaming because Microsoft is not a player currently in mobile, right? Small player. They're going to be a big player with that, but they're trying to transition, not turn console gaming into mobile gaming, but change the way people can access console and PC level quality games to make it more accessible to the masses, just like mobile gaming is. That's the game. They see all those people out there that are not playing on their games, and they want them to play on their games. It's simple as that. Once people get into the ecosystem, they're engaged in the ecosystem, guess what they do? They spend money. They're not doing this out of the goodness of their heart. They're business. They see the end game. People were saying, well, Game Pass, they're giving it away for $1. They're giving it away for $1. They're just burning. They're just not going to make any money. Guess what? It's profitable. It's already been proven as a successful business. It's already been proven as a successful model, even with all these big third-party deals, even with all this investment into all these studios, even with all these other things going on. Game Pass is proven already to be profitable. Why would they not double down on that? Because guess what? It sustained them when the competition that does not have that has been taking the biggest hit the last quarters. I don't understand. Why would you not have recurring revenue and be able to reach more people and be able to get people to spend more money? Even they go on to say that Game Pass subscribers spend more money than the other consumers because they're more engaged. They're playing more games. Why? Because the games are available to them. Tell me I got to pay $70 for every game I buy. I'm playing a lot less games. I'm less engaged. That's just what happens. And guess what? Like they've hit the nail on the head with what they're doing. Like we said earlier, though, they're missing the one thing. It's the cadence of the first parties that's really going to drive the excitement and the hype to really drive people in to get new subscribers that weren't involved in the ecosystem before. And that's going to happen. And again, part of that is ABK. Part of that is getting people that are already attached to certain brands, have love for certain brands, like Call of Duty, Candy Crush even, or whatever. Invite those people into your ecosystem. Riot Games on PC, huge following. Those people are going to be invited into the Xbox ecosystem. Every acquisition of a publisher, of a brand, of anything, you're inviting the fan base of that into your ecosystem, regardless if they currently play on Xbox or PC or not. That's the game. 3 billion people out there, 80% pretty much mobile gaming market. They want everybody to be able to get access to their games. It does make sense to spend $70 billion on acquisition. It makes sense to spend more money on more acquisitions because you need as many different things as possible to fulfill that pipeline.
Yeah.
And guess what? They're going to look and target at the things that they're weakest in, just like they did with mobile with ABK, with PC with ABK. They're going to look to the east. They're going to look to other places like Phil has already mentioned as well, who's making a lot of these decisions, right? And they're going to look at it and say, what do we need? What do we need to really grow our market here in this part of the world, right? What do we need to be stronger in this part of the world? What do we need to get these consumers into the Xbox ecosystem and spend their money with us? They will go and acquire those types of companies, whether it's a PC, mobile, or whatever publisher, whether they're in Japan, whether they're in Korea, whether in China, wherever they can make a deal, it's going to bring the most consumers into the Xbox ecosystem. That's where they're going to look to make their deals.
Right. Exactly. And Shane, I think we're having two different conversations here because never did I say that Game Pass isn't a great deal as it stands. It's a fantastic deal. Like that's why I call it the golden age of gaming.
Best deal in gaming ever.
Best deal in gaming, hands down. But you're having two separate conversations, and you brought Sony into it, which we're not even talking about. Sony doesn't have the same goals or hasn't had the same goals as Microsoft. They're looking over at Microsoft and they're saying, Jim's going, maybe we could try to grab more people. He's right. The console market isn't good enough for us. We need to break into other markets. But Xbox started thinking about this long ago when they introduced Game Pass. When people first said Game Pass will never work, there was experts out here saying Game Pass will never take off. It can't be done in the gaming industry because A, B, and C. And Sony agreed with them. Sony's still playing in a large part by the old rules because the ones that they made. So again, we're not even talking about Sony. You've heard us all say Sony should be putting first-party titles in their day and date. Nobody here is saying that Game Pass isn't a great deal already.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, though, is I'm never going to tell a company, no, you've given me too much. You've given me too much, man. You know, it's just not fair for you guys. I'm never going to tell a $1 trillion company, a $1 billion company, $1 million company, nah, too much value. You guys go ahead and keep some.
Yeah.
They're eventually going to raise prices on Game Pass. I could see the potential future if they continue to acquire, if they get to the point where they are, like we're basically getting a first party title like every month, okay? Like constantly. I could see them going to a tiered system. I could see a lot of different things down the road. What we're talking about here, Shane, is what Microsoft wants. Not what Sony wants, not what Nintendo wants, not what Microsoft is envisioning in the future. And in order to grab 2 to 3 billion people, you're going to have offerings for everything. Netflix charges whatever they charge now. What do they charge? $20? Is it $20 a month?
I don't keep up with it.
$20 a month. They put out more content than Disney Plus does, right? Disney Plus has a whole different market, right? Disney Plus charges, I can't remember what they just went up to. Disney Plus just increased theirs too. But again, just because Disney Plus doesn't put out the same amount of content doesn't mean Disney can't charge the same thing as Netflix, because a certain customer base is going to find value with the Disney Plus versus the Netflix. Microsoft is creating their own market here. And again, that's about as far as you can take the comparisons, because again, there's a whole nother, again, you can purchase games, you can purchase DLC, microtransactions in gaming, which is not what happens in other entertainment forms. This is very unique what Microsoft is doing. But again, to attract 2 billion, 3 billion people in, you can't just put out first-party AAA console games all the time. That's why they want King. That's why they want Call of Duty Mobile. That's why they want the Candy Crushes. That's why they want Blizzard to bring in the PC people on the PC Game Pass side of things. So nobody here is saying that it's not a great value. I don't care what Sony does personally. I want them to start doing day and date, of course, because eventually I will own a PS5. And I would love to say, I want to subscribe to PlayStation Plus Premium because, man, are they giving me a lot of value. Absolutely, I want that. But you never, again, Shane, I appreciate where you're coming from saying, hey, the $15 is already a great value. They don't need to purchase. Listen, that's fine. I'm just telling you, I will never tell
Yeah.
corporations too much.
And
I never.
I think the disconnect too is when we're looking at this Pong, we're looking at it from Microsoft's
Yeah.
perspective of what they need to do
Yes.
for what their goals are and what they've already
Right.
been telling us they're going to do. Right.
Right.
I'm not sitting here saying that it's not enough for me currently for what the offering is. If Game Pass never if Xbox never acquired another studio and they just kept their pipeline they have now, and even if the ABK
Right.
deal didn't happen and they kept
Yeah.
all these games that we already know about that's coming out, and you asked me to
Yep.
pay $15 a month, I'm like, fuck yeah, that's an
Yep.
amazing deal. Sign me up for
Absolutely.
that every day. I'm not ever going to complain about that. It is already an insane deal. So this is not about like, hey, they need to do this for me. They need to do this for Pong. You know, it's not about that. They're already way exceeded our expectations, or also what the value, what our perception of what the value is, because the value is like way exceeds what we're paying, in my opinion. The thing is, though, it's not just about me. It's not just about Pong. It's not just about any of us in the chat. I think we're all content with Game Pass. I think we all love Game Pass, and especially with what we know they have coming down the pipeline. And 3 big games a year is enough for me for what they're charging, with plus all the indie stuff and all those things. But we're talking about Microsoft and what they want to do to get to what their ultimate goal is, and they are going to keep acquiring to meet those goals. They not going to just be satisfied being number 2 in the market, number 3. They want to take this and they want to blow it up and be a big player in all those different fields and push their cloud technology as well with it. It's just all goes hand in hand. This is not a complaint against Game Pass. It's weird how you can twist like saying Microsoft might acquire more studios into a complaint against Game Pass. Not saying they need to do it for me.
No.
It's just that they said they're going to do it, and they said that they need to. So why should we not believe them? I mean, it's like, I don't understand that. I don't understand that. You know, like
it'd be one thing if Phil came out and said, nope, we're done, or Sati came out and said, no, we're good now, and then we were back on the show going, you guys got to get out there and get more. Like, you guys got to go get more. That's not what's happening, though. They literally told us they're going to go buy more.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's surprising. You know, the way that things can be twisted sometimes, you know what I mean, is just like pretty interesting. I feel like been on the same page like since we met, Pong, with like the way we think on a lot of things, you know what I mean, with business stuff and Microsoft. And guess what? Strangely enough, we've been like pretty damn spot on and right about everything that they've been doing and their plans for ever since we kind of started talking a couple years ago. I don't really foresee that changing because it's a common sense approach to it's not just business. It's not just a selfish take about me or you, right? And there's some podcasters or gamers out there like, why do you care about anything other than what you're interested in, right? Like I care about the whole gaming as a whole, right? I want gaming to be successful. I want gaming to be in a good place. I want Microsoft to be in a good place because guess what? That means I get more games. I want Sony to be in a good place. That's why I criticize Sony at times. It's not because I hate Sony. It's because I think they're making the wrong moves for their business. The same reason I criticize Square Enix at times. Because I love Square Enix games. But I think they're making mistakes. That's hurting them. It's hurting the gamer, right? Microsoft's been getting a lot of praise the last couple months, but when we give criticism, sometimes we get backlash as well. Like, hey, where's the first party lineup in 2022 or whatever? Because it's not just about, hey, am I satisfied? It's about everything, right? And that's why we're trying to cover this stuff. You know what I mean? So there's a lot to discuss with gaming, right? I mean, God of War Ragnarok just launched on PlayStation. Fucking huge success. 94 Metacritic. People are loving it right now. Right? We haven't even had a chance to talk about that yet in the show, but seems like it's causing a lot of controversy still on social media because there's a lot of people trying to attack it for fanboy wars or console wars stuff.
Yeah.
Um, people also trying to point that out too much as well, like trying to promote the loud a little bit to make them an example for the entire community. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's a shame that it comes to that. You know what I mean? It's like if somebody wants to love God of War Ragnarok, like you don't have to shit on it. You know, just
No.
because you're not interested in the game doesn't mean it's bad. Doesn't mean it's trash or whatever. You know, it's like you can give Sony praise when it's due, and their first party doesn't miss, right?
Correct.
I think the first party needs to be in their service, right? I think that's going to help Sony. And also make me a better deal. Like that's what I want. You know what I mean? And I ultimately like that's why we have these discussions. That's why we have these talks and
Yep.
stuff.
Yep. And you're right, Shane. There is no guarantee that the Game Pass will work. But you know what? There's no guarantee that any new business model will work. But Microsoft is all in on this, and that's why you see what's happening. Microsoft isn't half-assing this, okay? They're not dipping their toes in. They're jumping in with both feet. We saw what happened with
working
Stadia
now. That's a guarantee that it's working now.
Yeah, it's
right?
working now, and that their future plans are based upon this because the Azure servers, again, there's a bigger plan in place that we've talked about too, that we've guessed on. Listen, there's no guarantee in anything in business. You adapt or you die. Microsoft adapted when they were almost dead. They adapted. They came up with a whole new game plan, partly based upon desperation. And right now, that Hail Mary seems to be working. And they're going to run with this. And Microsoft as a corporation is going to run with this for as long as it's going to take them. And if it doesn't work out, if it all fails in the end, guess what? Industry will continue on.
Yep.
Everybody will adapt and everybody will continue on.
And we'll all keep playing games.
And we'll all keep playing games. And if the Game Pass goes down in flames and I can't get 400 games for $15 a month anymore,
guess what? A little bit less games.
Guess what? I'll go back. Yep, I'll play less games, but I'll still be here talking about all the great games.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Great discussion.
And technology is going to keep advancing along the way, no matter what. That's the great thing.
Correct. It is the beautiful thing. So we got a lot to look forward to. Like I said, this generation is going to be fascinating.
Yep.
We are in a moment of transition, which we've never been in like before. Like we've had definitely transition periods in gaming. This one is a whole different ball game. So it's going to be fun no matter what. And AGH, I saw your comment earlier about how Xbox has to fix their PC stuff. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody complains about the PC. Why do you think they're bringing on Blizzard? They want to get some more experts in there.
They need to just like switch everything over to the Blizzard stuff, man. Like,
BattleNet's going to help them out. So, again, they're doing all this stuff for different reasons. So, anyways, great discussion, brother. See, look at this. We didn't know if we were going to even go 2 hours tonight. Look at us. This is what happens here on PM and the PM. We get rolling. But I do appreciate the comments, Shane. You brought up great points and discussion. You brought discussion to us, and that's what we like too. So definitely appreciate you, brother. Where to next here, Mav? Now we're kind of down into the smaller stuff here. So, well, where do you want to go? Gears of War?
Oh yeah, we can have a little fun discussion. We want to do a casting call.
Ooh, I don't know if I'm ready for a casting call.
You want to try out? You want to try out for Marcus?
No, and I'm not on the Batista train. But if they do it, that's fine.
Yeah,
I don't like Batista personally, but everybody wants it, so whatever. But anybody who doesn't know, Netflix came out of the blue. Again, this is something that we've all been calling for, is Gears of War deserves the big screen. Gears of War has deserved a movie, TV show, something for a long time. Well, Netflix comes out this week and says, oh, by the way, we're partnering with the coalition over at Xbox, and we are not only doing a Gears of War TV or series, whatever you want to call it, but we're also going to do an adult-themed anime Gears of War on top of it. finally, after all this time, Mav, finally, I've got thoughts on it, but I'll let you go first since you obviously are the fun pop dude. You think about this stuff more than I do when it comes to casting. I've seen some ridiculous casting out there that people are throwing out, obviously as jokes. I've
Yeah.
seen some people be serious where I'm like, no, God, no. But for you, Mav, when you heard this news, first of all, obviously, I think you're in the same boat as me. Gears has freaking fantastic lore. My brother from another Steel Rain has read Gears lore. He's read the Halo lore. Again, these universes are huge. They deserve to be showing up elsewhere. This is perfect transmedia for Xbox to get into. But Gears of War coming, man. Not just a live action, but also an anime. And we saw what Edge Runners just did for Cyberpunk. What do you think, brother? This is exciting times, isn't it?
It's extremely exciting for me. I love this shit. I live for this shit. You know, like I'm not a huge like critic at times. You know, I try to find the enjoyment in most things.
Oh, we know, Solo fan.
Last time I tried to watch that movie, though, I was like, "This is a lot rougher than I
know.
remember."
You changed your mind. I know. I'm so happy about
But the
that.
first time I loved it. It was weird, strange. However, like I do try and find most of the enjoyment in things and not pick things apart unless something really bothers me. Sometimes there's like certain things that really bother me. However, like um, a lot of people tend to shit on things before they even come to out or come to fruition, and without even like giving things a chance. I'm never that guy. I love seeing this type of deal happen because it raises possibilities. It gets my mind going of what could be. Like, what is this movie gonna be like, right? Are they gonna be all like bulked up, like superhero looking, like jacked up dudes, like with chainsaws and ripping locusts in half, you know, in a post-apocalyptic looking world? This fucking sounds awesome, you know? Or is it gonna suck ass? Who knows? But I have faith because it is Netflix, right? They've done some really good work lately, and a lot of the shows I really like. I love Stranger Things. Also, if you look at presentation, graphics wise, and CG stuff, like with also like practical effects and stuff like that, they've been doing a fantastic job there. They're not afraid to go dark as well on a lot of their stuff. So like stuff like Dahmer, it's absolutely insane. If you watch Dahmer, it's like holy shit, that's on TV. Like it's amazing. The one thing I love most about this world we live in now with all these streaming options for access, we get content that we never would have gotten otherwise. Like a lot of these shows that get greenlit never would have been on just regular cable TV. They never would have been on a big screen or whatever. But you have all these different, again, competition, right? Streaming platforms competing for content and IP, much like Xbox wants to do with their acquisitions as well, right? Competing for content and IP to drive people to their subscription service. It is making some of the best content out there, like across all these different platforms. I subscribe to too many because there's always something on a different platform that I freaking want to catch up on. You know, I got Disney Plus, Hulu, Prime Video, Paramount Plus, Peacock, all these different ones. I'm like, holy shit, there's another badass new show. Like Yellowstone's hitting again, right? Yellowstone's badass. I love Yellowstone. But this movie could really potentially be a big deal because the video game craze with content and IP into movies and TV shows is getting bigger and bigger, and they're treating it with more respect than they ever have before. It's not like these cash grab movies we used to get back in the day. They want to make franchises that have a lasting effect, right? They're trying to put stuff out there that they know is going to be quality. Look what Edge Runners did for Cyberpunk, right? Look what they're doing right now with the Sony side, where they're trying to push The Last of Us and they're trying to do all these different things. Xbox is doing this too. They got Fallout coming out on Prime. They got Gears coming to Netflix. They got Grounded coming. They got one. What's another one that they just had recently announced? All these different things. Netflix is doubling down on this though because they committed to a movie and an animated series, and they also went on to say that possible for more stories. So obviously that means if it's successful, that are going to continue the relationship. It's just going to come down to who the director is, how true to the lore, the characters they are, um, the casting, all that. But I have faith in Netflix's production right now because they've been doing some really good work. So I'm pumped, dude. And the XCU is, I'm gonna call this the XCU. I can't wait to see what's next. I don't think this. I mean, we're not done with Gear. I mean, was the next obvious one, right? I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't see a Fable or like a Sea of Thieves or something
We're getting Fallout from
yeah,
Bethesda.
yeah, we are getting Fallout. You can see the Elder Scrolls. You can see.
Yes.
I personally like really want a Perfect Dark
Sure.
show. I said that on FSP on Monday. I think it just has a lot of potential to help grow that character and in that world, right? So I'm excited for what they're doing. I can't wait to see it. But it also raises questions like, at what point do they stop relying on other platform holders and get their own platform, right? So, yeah.
WB Discovery would have been the way. All right. No, I'm absolutely pumped for this. Anybody who knows me, the original Gears trilogy for me was one of those moments in the 360 generation that you just can't get back again. The original Gears trilogy, starting with Gears 1. And again, if you're not old enough to have been around when Gears 1 launched, you just will never understand that moment when the commercial hit. Gears was so different from anything else that we were playing at that time. It blew everybody out of the water. And it was like this perfect moment, this perfect storm that happened when Gears hit. And the first Gears trilogy, to me, is still one of the greatest trilogies in video game history. It has everything that you could ever ask for in a game, in a series, a trilogy. Sure, it's not an RPG, but from a third-person shooter, a dude bro game, you had extreme emotions within the trilogy. The writing was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
The moment with Maria, listen, to this day is still one of the few moments that I've ever teared up in a video game. You had comedy, Coltrane again. We talk about it now in 2020. Huh?
And Baird, yeah.
And Baird, we had the buddy cops between all of them. We had those moments, and then you had this deep, dark game that was horror filled. We had so much with the Gears trilogy that it really was special. That it's taken this long to get something like this is crazy. Now, for me, the live action still worries me on Netflix side. They hit or miss on their live action. They've got to do this right. And I think for the first, I don't know if they're planning on doing how many, what kind of season this is going to be or whatever. Yeah. I think you have to stick to the original trilogy out the gates to nail
So the
this.
live action is a movie.
It is a movie. So it's just one.
And then the animated is the series.
Here's a series. Okay. So for me, the live action, you have to stick to the script and you have to go back to the original trilogy and you have to lean into the dark, horror-esque type game that was, the bloodiness. You have to lean into that to make that hit, I believe. And I think you do have to go back to the original characters. You have to go back to the dude bros. You can't play around with that. And I think that would make that a huge success. With the anime, if you're going to do a series, I think there you can play around with it and you can branch off, much like they did with Edge Runners. They branched off from Cyberpunk and they did a whole different story set within the world, set within the same time frame, roughly, as the game. Actually, it was set within the time frame of the game. And you can play around with that. And you can go in a different direction with the anime and pull it off. I'm actually more interested in the anime because Netflix has proven on their anime side of things, they know what to do. And since they've already said it's going to be adult themed, which obviously it has to be, you can do more in anime than you can do in live action when it comes to action sequences, when it comes to, the types of things you can show Like, that's why it gets me excited. Like Cyberpunk, the Edge Runners, what they got away with in the anime is totally different than what you could get away with in live action in a lot of ways. So I love that they're doing this as well. But I think there you branch off, you go try something different, maybe take a whole different cast of characters, maybe introduce, who knows, maybe introduce like the some of the regular people who were fighting alongside the Gears at the time when everything was going to hell, and the locusts were appearing. Maybe you do that, like, but on the live action, I think you stick to the original trilogy and you bring those main characters in, all of them, and you go through kind of the game. I think it would be fantastic. But I'm excited, Matt. This has been a long time coming. I can't wait to see Gears in a different light, and get something really cool. And again, as far as casting goes, yes, I think you have to go the big dudes. I think you have to give them that comic book style look. If it winds up being a bunch of wrestlers, it winds up being a bunch of wrestlers. That's fine. That's fine with me. If it has to be that way, again, I'm not the biggest Batista fan.
A good director can make a lot of decent to bad actors look really good, right? So,
Correct.
you can do a lot of things like with that. I agree. I want the jacked up guys on there. I don't want to see a bunch of like puny, like normal dudes be be the Gears guys. I need to see this like out of this world. Like these guys are fucking intense and insane. You know what I mean? Because that's what they are. In the games.
Correct.
So I need to see that come through big time. And dude, bro, I guess it's gonna come down to the director. There'll probably be some director that we don't really know. You know what I mean? But like somebody has done another show that's really good, or I there is a comedy element into Gears as well. Like the back and forth between the characters is a lot of that. But there's a lot of darkness, there's a lot of horror, there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of definitely gore, right? With that.
You have to have the chainsaws. You're gonna have to do
it's like about
the Nashers.
Camaraderie between brothers on a mission, trying to save the world, and you got to come through
against all odds.
Yeah,
you have to come that way. Absolutely,
it's good. Casting's gonna be interesting.
It is. It's gonna be very interesting. I can't wait to see it. I'm just excited that it's happening again.
I
waited so long.
If they come out from the movie trailer and they recreate in live action the Mad World trailer, if they do that, the hype for that movie will go through the fucking roof. They like it's let me tell you. All right, you fucking greenlit this movie, right?
Yes.
All you gotta do to get the hype back and make sure the story's in place to follow this, right?
Yep.
But recreate in live action the Mad World trailer, and the world will fucking explode for this movie.
Correct. And use that version of Mad World. Don't go 100%. Get some new version. You just you're absolutely, Mav, you are 100% on. Again, people who weren't around. My kid to this day can still sing that song.
Yeah.
My kid was young when Gears came out, but he watched the trailer with me over and over and over again. We used to play it in the car, like nonstop. Like he had to hear that song. If you do that, you're right, Mav. It's so simple. It's so simple. Just do that, Netflix. Yes, the hype will be over.
It'll be insane. Imagine, because I imagine what they're gonna do. Hey, we'll all know about it. Hey, Gears of War trailer's happening tomorrow. Kind of like we knew the Halo trailer was gonna happen. We all get tuned in, ready to watch, and then we see that and we hear the all around us are familiar faces. I would be like, what? We'll be like, what? We will be fucking like almost shitting ourselves watching this. I mean, go down.
Yep.
I can just feel the excitement that would happen to this day. If you don't do that, it's a missed opportunity. It doesn't mean it'll 100%. Be bad. It doesn't mean it'll be bad, obviously.
No.
But you got, I mean, it's
one of your teaser trailers has to be that.
That's like
one of your teasers.
Is that the most beloved game trailer of all time?
It's up there for sure. It's got to be. I mean, there's been a lot of fantastic game trailers, but that one had the most emotional impact. Again, Blazinski and the rest of the team, when they did that, they nailed every aspect that they had to when introducing that game. Again, if you weren't around during that time, you won't understand what it was like. But that trailer with that song encapsulated exactly what that game was. It had everything, but it was such a mood setter. Like
Yeah.
you just knew what you were walking into when you first fired up Gears because of that trailer alone. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And please, Netflix, please. General Ram has got to be in it. One of the best bosses of all time, bro. One of the best bosses. Seriously. So yeah, no, spot on, Mav. It's great. Riskit agrees 100%. Shout out to Riskit for the biscuit dropping in here. Says now that's bang on, boys. The trailer was amazing. A game and a system seller, and now the movie seller if they do it. Absolutely, Riskit 100%.
He said it. He said it. I lost him when I started singing it, though. So.
Mav does that. Mine's even worse. So don't get me wrong. I'm not bringing down Mav, but yes, he does that frequently. All right. Let's see here. What else we got? Hey, we got a tease. Speaking of some of the greatest trilogies of all time, Mav, we got a tease. It was N7 Day this week as well for Mass Effect. It's the Mass Effect anniversary. We got a tease for the new Mass Effect.
Chris Jones is really hyped about this too.
Yes. And of course, I am, again, one of the greatest trilogies of all time in any video game. You got BioShock, you got Mass Effect, you got Gear. Mm-hmm. Funny how all these came from the 360 era. Like the golden age, and we're on a golden age right here, but the 360 era was something special. But the Mass Effect, they released a new teaser, Mav, that showed some conceptual artwork. And then it had a transmission, and that was kind of coded, but not really. It was kind of just screwed up. It was hard to understand, but people went in and cleaned it up so you could understand. And we've got the confirmation that it was Liara talking, and that there was also Geth noises and speech in there as well. And very interesting. Liara says exactly, the council will be furious, although they should know by now not to underestimate human defiance. In the scrambled voice that kind of sounded Geth-like, said, I see it. How did we miss this? This was one of the best teasers that BioWare's come out with in a long time for any of their games.
Yeah.
This got the Mass Effect community hyped. Again, there's a lot of questions around this because obviously Andromeda, this is not the BioWare of old. Most everybody's moved on. This brand new people. It's going to be a lot of questions coming into this if they can go back and recapture the original Mass Effect trilogy, which obviously with the release, with the remake that they put out, really did get the hype back up again. New people were introduced to it again. Steel Rain had never played Mass Effect before. Went and played the remake, the whole trilogy, and it's one of his most beloved series now. That's the power of the old Mass Effect. Again, just a different time. Mass Effect is on another level, still to this day. So the fact that they put this out, Mav, and we got Liara coming back, of course, we've seen signs that they're going to connect it to the old time frame. Does this get you excited?
Yeah, at first I saw the teaser. I didn't know it was audio.
Yeah.
So I just saw it, and I remember they had done, and they'd done something similar in the past, and they had like a picture, and like there's more to this picture than it appears. So like I remember that, and I was like, oh, they're just doing that again, but this one's just like in motion, and I'm like, okay, so cool. I just moved on with my day, and I got a DM from Chris, so I got to shout out Chris Jones. He's like, did you see the teaser? And I'm like, yeah, I saw it. I just saw like a like a spaceship or something floating, and he's like, really? There's he linked it to me again, so like I listened to it. I'm like, oh, okay. It reminds me of like some of the teases we got for Halo Infinite early on with some of like the banished Atriox and Escrum talking right there, and it was like, okay, so that's interesting, and I love when they do stuff like this. So, but this harkens back to a character that people know and love, right? It's making the presence known. It also goes with the tease before when they revealed this Mass Effect games in development. I think they showed the art at that point too, if I'm not mistaken, right? So
they showed the crash site, and all that kind of stuff. Yep, that was in the shape of a Geth.
There's a reason. There's a good reason for people to be excited with this, like story wise. I feel like leading into it, it feels like they're paying a lot of attention to where they want to go, to understand what the fans have been looking for and want. They've had a long time to figure that out and understand it. It's still got to put it together, right?
Yep.
Can BioWare create a new game that stands up to par with their classic franchises? Right now, that is still a question mark. Dragon Age has got to come out. Speaking of Dragon Age, they also are getting a show on Netflix.
Yes.
Which is
Yes.
pretty cool.
Anime show.
Yep.
Yep. Very cool.
Dragon Age has got to come out. One of my favorite franchises. Like skip after Inquisition, skip the rest of the generation, right? After Andromeda, skip the rest of the generation. Two huge IPs that have just been dormant for a really long time.
Yep.
And BioWare is got to hit the nail on the head when this comes out, dude, because this is their. I'll say Mass Effect is more important probably than Dragon Age, just because I feel like there's a bigger history there. You know what I mean? For me personally, Dragon Age is equal, right?
Sure.
If Dragon Age flops, I think people are still going to be willing to give Mass Effect a chance, right?
Yeah.
Mass Effect flops, Mass Effect doesn't hit. What does that mean for BioWare, right? So my point in getting to this is there's a lot of reason to be excited right now. And I'm going to be really looking forward to playing this, but I need to see more leading up to the game's launch. I feel like we're going to get, with this teaser, I feel like maybe there's a Game Awards thing, right?
Possible.
Because isn't that the place where they first revealed the teaser? Okay, didn't they have the Dragon Age Inquisition trailer?
Yes.
And then they had that, right? So it would make sense if they're doing a little teaser now to do a Game Awards trailer, right? And or something. I feel like Dragon Age needs to be at this Game Awards. I remember they promoted that they were going to be there last year or the year before, I don't remember. And all we got was this little
Didn't they come out and say Dragon Age is now in alpha stage? So
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I think they just came out last week or this week and said Dragon Age.
Crazy.
It's to alpha.
Crazy how freaking long these games take to really get to these points now.
Yeah.
I mean, talking about games that have been announced like years ago.
And they were and again, a lot of that was just drum up talent to get talent back into the studio. We got to realize that's the new age. And I understand people want games now, but again, with the Cyberpunk situation, all that kind of stuff, these studios are going to give games longer time frames than
those AAA games take like 7 to 10 years almost. It seems like it's insane,
it's
bro.
Like crazy.
Like
from the time of conception,
I remember the 360 era. This is like every 3 years you got like another one of the franchise every 2 years sometimes.
Well, yeah, we got the full trilogy for BioShock, Mass Effect, and Gears of War all within the same generation.
Yeah, and Dragon Age even. I didn't agree.
Yeah,
Dragon Age kicked off there too. So BioWare produced all of that.
Right. Correct.
It's insane.
Machine. They were a machine back in the day. They really were. What I do like, Mav, is they're leaning into the nostalgia. I will always give kudos when look, again, there's a lot of questions here whether or not they can recapture what they had. Because it's not the same people. But if you're going to lean into the nostalgia of what made the originals great, I'm all for that because that's already a bonus. Like Andromeda didn't do that at all. Like Andromeda didn't try to lean into the Mass Effect. They were trying to take it in a new direction. Again, the problem with Andromeda, outside of the bugs, and there was plenty, and everybody knows that the game was pretty bad at launch. But Andromeda just didn't build the characters. Mass Effect was all about the characters. People fell in love. Literally to this day, people are in love with the Mass Effect characters.
Yeah.
Like that. And it's not just one or two Mass Effect characters. It's like you could go to 10 different people and get 6 different answers about who their favorites are. Like that's how important Mass Effect
who's your favorite
was.
Who's your favorite, Pong?
Probably Liara.
Laura?
Yeah. I like blue alien girls.
I was like Tali.
Yeah, I like Tali too. Tali was really cool.
Was cool.
Yeah, I mean, but you can go down the list. Like there really wasn't anyone that I hated. Like, that I absolutely despised.
Well written characters that all had the personality and story and history to them, and like
all different.
And you learn so much. Like
yes,
throughout the game. To some like you'd be like learn about this character, and then like the next game you learn something new about them that you never knew about. You
Yes.
know what I mean? It's like,
Correct.
oh wow, that's cool. It's like so developed over trilogies. It's insane.
Right. And that's going to be the tough part for them, Matt. But like I said, that they're leaning into this nostalgia, that they've got Liara to make that connection with the past, really says that they understand that that's what they've got to get. Now, again, it's all going to come down to writing. It's all going to come down to character development. The Andromedas, again, there's a section of people out there that love Andromeda, and I'm not going to knock you for it. I'd never do that with a game. There are a section of people that really love Andromeda. My problem is all the characters for me, coming off the original trilogy and how it's one of my goats, all the characters in Andromeda were forgettable.
Yeah, they shouldn't click with me.
To me.
Yeah.
Yeah. None of them clicked. None of them clicked with me the way that the original trilogy did. Now, you can blame me and say, well, that's probably because you think of the original trilogy as so highly regarded and because you love all those characters that, of course, it was never going to live up to your
I don't think
expectations.
so. That like the first time you met Garrus, it was like, oh, that guy's like, who's that guy? Like, it's fucking interesting. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of had that with a lot of those characters. I feel like this like Andromeda wasn't maybe written as well, or something, and maybe that's what it is. I'm not sure. You know,
and that's what I'm saying, because that's what people started questioning, whether or not the new BioWare could ever do what the old BioWare did, because the writing wasn't there, because the character development wasn't there for a lot of us. And again, not everybody. I'm not saying that as a blanket statement for everybody, but I'm just saying for a lot of us, that's what was missing, and that's where the questions for me personally come in. But I love the fact they're leaning into the nostalgia. This transmission leads to a lot of different questions. I've seen a lot of people already speculating on this. This was a big talking point earlier this week for all the Mass Effect fans out there, with Liara saying they should know by now not to underestimate human defiance. So is it possible, the best guess that I've seen out there, and obviously none of us are going to know, so this isn't spoilers, the best guess I've seen out there is that the humans were building a mass relay on their own somewhere.
Right.
So that would be a great jumping off point for all of this. Like, that would be huge when it gets into the politics of Mass Effect and what that would mean. That would be a great starting point. So just really interesting to me. I thought they did a great job. Like I said, one of the best teasers we've gotten from BioWare in a long time. So I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. After I watched it back, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, it's really cool. I got to see, like, I want to see, like, an actual trailer, real information, like, and stuff. Like, the teasers are really cool, right? I like them, and I agree it was a good one. It's just been so long.
Right.
For both of those franchises that we're talking about, that I want to see something substantial. Like,
agreed.
And Mass Effect's probably further away than Dragon Age, I would assume.
I don't know which one has been longer. It's a good question.
Well, when they announced the Mass Effect, that was like we're going to start this project, Mass Effect, you know, but they already had supposedly been working on Dragon Age, and they even had that trailer there that was a game that had already been announced for a couple of years before then. So
correct.
Like, I don't know. It's interesting.
It is interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how they pull this off.
Even though Anthem was a cool experiment, I wish they never would have even messed with it and just made fucking more Dragon Age and Mass Effect games. It was like a big waste of time.
Had they done Anthem? No, and now, knowing what we know now.
Yeah, knowing what we know now is a huge waste of time. EA wasted their time too, though. It was like a lot.
That could have been their next big franchise, though. Honestly,
if EA supported it properly.
Yes. It honestly could have.
Again, the bones of that
game. Yeah, the bones of that game is everything great that you want in a game. It's just that they did nothing else. They put any skin, muscle, or anything else on it.
So they're going to turn that. They're going to use that and turn it into their Iron Man game.
If they don't, Mav, I'm telling. We had this discussion on the shop too. Yeah. I'm telling you, like, I have hope that EA. I've seen some lights turn on in the dark EA offices. Like, they finally get it because of Zampella.
Yeah.
There's been signs.
Yeah, he's rubbing off on them a little bit.
I'm still not ready to say that some genius over at EA is going to be like, Yeah, no, you guys got to come up with a whole new flight scheme for Iron Man. You
Right.
can't use the Anthem assets. Like I'm still waiting for that moment when we find out that they didn't learn anything. Like I just,
Iron Man
oh my
should
god,
be like an Anthem mod with a great story.
with a great freaking story.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Oh my god, just watch it though. Just I guess I'm still not ready to say EA won't do the opposite, and screw it all up. Hey, Battlefield 2042 is coming to Game Pass finally, Mav. Finally, season
Yeah,
3,
finally.
the start of season 3 coming in a few weeks, which is the guess. Well, we had been telling EA you should have done this 6 months ago,
Yeah.
but whatever. Again, common sense
We knew
doesn't
it
always
was-
run.
Yeah, we knew it was
But
coming,
eventually.
so it's not a surprise.
it
We
has
both
to.
predicted this, that
Yeah.
it would be season 3 would be the launch point for it.
Yep. And
So-
season 3 is also the return of the class system, which is great. It's fantastic.
Mhm.
Again, I've uninstalled it because I needed room, obviously with Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Will season 3 get me back into Battlefield? Again, I've got 100. I think I got 150 hours in Battlefield, somewhere in that neighborhood. I've played a ton of it. You guys all know our feelings on it. Love it.
Yeah.
Had a great time. They fixed a lot. They continue to fix a lot. Call of Duty kind of has me by the throat right now.
Mhm.
I would go back and forth between the two back in the day because it's a different flavor. It's like having two ice creams, one chocolate, one strawberry, and I would go back between each one of them as kind of my wants wanted to. But this is great news. At least it's finally dropping into Game Pass. Wrong time again, Battlefield. EA, you should have taken advantage of Call of Duty not being out. So I don't think it's going to have the impact that it would have 6 months ago, but it's still great to see it because I think new people can jump in now. Some of the people that have, heard all the hate or just sat and said it's not for me. I'm not paying for a game without the campaign. You guys can all finally jump back in and see that Battlefield is in a much better place. You're going to get the best experience you've had. Again, with the class systems coming back, that's huge. It's going to make a difference, and I think Battlefield's going to get a lot of people roped back in. Not as many as they would have, but I think they will still see a bump, don't you, Mev?
Yeah, I think for sure. I mean, they did with the other Battlefield games, right? So why I would be thinking it's any different. I think what's going to be is actually a revelation for anybody that's trying it that stayed away just because of a lot of the noise is going to be like, oh, wow, this plays really good now and looks really good and is actually fun and these maps are huge and awesome and lots of cool stuff. It could get on a life of its own. The only problem is there's so much damn competition now. COD is on top of the world right now with that. You got Overwatch 2 out there getting lots of players. Halo Infinite's making a comeback.
Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
Oh,
so the competition's out there. That's the only thing going to be holding it back from really taking off because the gameplay is there now. A lot of the issues that were there are fixed. They're gone. That happened before season 2 even happened, which season 2 was pretty damn fun. We played a lot then. Only downside is I think they're only doing one map per season, which is pretty that's pretty low, but over time it'll add up, right? I hope they add more to Portal over the seasons as well because Portal's pretty damn awesome. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I think Game Pass hopefully will have more people that have the games when we do play it can join in and have some fun. But yeah, I've been enjoying it since it came out. I don't play it as much right now because I'm playing other things. But once it hits Game Pass, I'll be sure to dive back in. What date is it?
A couple weeks now, 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Or towards the end of this month, isn't it? I think it's right at the end.
It's
of this month.
right around like Warzone launch.
Yes. Well, Warzone is next week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be after that.
A week after that.
Let me see if it says a specific date. Season 3, blah blah blah. 22 just says November.
Yeah.
They don't give an exact date.
I will say that I've seen a lot of talk with, wow, this is a great decision for them to put this in the game. Like, it's interesting because like we've all like if you know the way that the EA Play works with Game Pass, I mean, this was a foregone conclusion. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Yeah. It's just I'm actually more surprised they didn't do it earlier. You know, so
it should have been done 6 months ago.
Yeah.
It's Stupid.
I think that would have really launched Battlefield off to a better place. But ultimately now, COD's out. It's going to limit the amount of people that are going to give it a try, right?
Yep.
So,
Correct.
but it is what it is.
It is. It's going to continue to exist no matter what. And again, they're fixing it. They're working on it. And of course, they're working on the new installment of Battlefield at the same time with Zeppel and the crew.
Yeah.
So this is going to live on while that's happening. And eventually we'll get news on that. I don't know if we'll get new Battlefield news next year or 2024. Probably imagine it's going to be 2024 before we hear about the new one. So we've still got another, full year of 2042. Before we even start getting some interference there. Got another example of Sony moving into games as a service MMO as well. Came out this week. Again, this got kind of lost between all the other news out there, but Sony has reportedly partnered with NCSoft to make a Horizon MMO map. The game is said to be in development at the South Korean company behind Lineage and Guild Wars. NCSoft is no joke. They've had some big hits with MMOs.
Guild Wars is really popular.
Yes, and Lineage back in the day was really popular as well.
I think Guild Wars is like one of the first free-to-play MMOs.
It was. I played Guild Wars 2 on my old laptop back in the day. Just tried it. It was a terrible experience, but whatever.
Yeah.
I wanted to play Guild Wars. But yeah, man, this is interesting. They're taking Horizon and they're going to turn it into an MMO. Got some potential.
Yeah,
it really does. But I thought this was, we talk about these 12 games as a service that Sony's been talking about. We know about a couple of them. So we're going to start hearing more and more of these little things come out. We don't know how far away it is or how far in development this is. But obviously, again, for anybody who didn't believe Sony's moving in this direction, they're moving in this direction. So
I'm just curious what the game's going to be like. An MMO Horizon game. I'm trying to wrap my head around it,
Monster Hunter-esque,
probably.
of hunting dinos and stuff. Obviously crafting. I'm sure you could have some crafting in there as well. There's a lot of different ways they could go with it, but the world's beautiful and it makes a lot of sense that they do this.
Yeah. I think we're going to see that for more of their franchises too.
Yes.
Yeah. And it'll be day and date on PC and PlayStation.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's got to be.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. No. It's going to be dropping right in their service.
Would you think that'll be day one of their subscription, or you think people are gonna have to buy it?
I think they'll do subscription day one. I think they'll have.
I think they need to.
I think they'll have. They'll obviously have paid content for that. They'll have some type of pass, like ESO does, like Elder Scrolls Online does.
Or will it be free to play?
Premium subscription. I think it'll be free to play.
Okay.
But I think it'll have a subscription add-on for it, just like ESO, where you get, if you subscribe to the premium monthly service plan, you get all this information, get all this content, and you get like all the DLC for free. That's the way ESO works, right? So I think that's probably what they're going to go after.
Cool, makes sense.
They need some. Yeah, it's going to be another. Again, they need these different revenue streams coming in, and I think that this is a great way to take advantage of what they've got going on over there. Anything else you want to get into, man?
I'm good, man. I want to get into Vampire Survivors.
So do I.
Want to play some of that?
Oh, tomorrow, folks, too. Tomorrow, Hogwarts Legacy.
Ooh.
For all you Potter fans waiting on Hogwarts, they announced today they are going to have a gameplay showcase tomorrow. Let me look at VGC here real quick. So please put this down on your calendar. The showcase will take place Friday, November 11th, tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern time. So if you want to, it's going to be available to watch on the Avalanche Software Twitch channel and the official Hogwarts Legacy YouTube channel. So mark it down on your calendars tomorrow, because it sounds like they're going to show off a lot. They're going to take a tour of the castle. They're going to show off a lot more stuff tomorrow.
Cool.
So it should be pretty.
That's February, I think, release date.
Yep. Yeah, 2022. I don't know. Did they give us? Yes, early 2023, February 10th. February 10th when it's coming out. Yeah.
February.
Everything. Again, you got a 50-50 shot. Any game.
Yeah.
For 2023. If you say February, 50-50 shot.
Red Dead Redemption 3.
Yep, February 2023. Got a 50-50 shot.
Let's go. Let's make it happen. I don't care what you got to do. We have the entire gaming industry develop a game at one time.
Oh, brother, it's been a great show. We didn't know how long this was going to go for. We said we didn't have a lot to talk about. You and I turned it into a 3-hour show.
Yeah.
Just like that. Chat, we appreciate you. You guys all helped with this as well. Lots of great conversations in there. Again, a light news week. Nothing major this week like we've had for the past 3 months straight, 2 months straight. It's been crazy. But again, lots of gaming to get done. Mav and I are going to go hop into Vampire Survivors for sure. And be playing that tonight. So, Mav, tell everybody what you got going on for the rest of the weekend here, brother.
Just tomorrow night, Xbox Ultimate Podcast, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to have some fun. We'll go left, we'll go right, we'll go up and down, and we'll go sideways. We'll have some fun on that show. Again, light news week, so we tend to keep it pretty cash over there. So we'll have some fun tomorrow night on Xbox Ultimate Podcast. And then Mondays is FSP at 10 p.m. Eastern. I'll be streaming some games probably this weekend, as always. So come and hang out with that. I am probably going to be getting Ogre Tactics on PlayStation, and I may be streaming some of that this weekend.
I'm going to be so freaking jealous of you.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, it's sitting at 80. What did I send you? 87 today on Open Critic.
Classic.
Tactics Ogre Reborn. If you guys are into tactics games, and you got a PS5 or a Switch or a PC, basically any device outside of an Xbox, go buy it. It's a freaking amazing game. Yep.
I'm looking forward to playing that. It's pretty much Final Fantasy Tactics. I mean, it's like...
It is.
That's why I'm really excited to get back into it. I remember playing it, but I didn't get into it like I did Tactics, like Final Fantasy Tactics back in the day. But yeah,
it looks gorgeous. This remake looks absolutely phenomenal too.
So I'll be probably streaming some of that this weekend. I don't know, like I'm still itching to maybe get into the game, but maybe Call of Duty, maybe I'll play NBA. We'll see if Sonic or Ragnarok will end up making their way into the library. I don't know. We'll see. But besides that, stay tuned to all the other stuff we got going on. Hey, side note, we have a sponsor. So y'all hear more about that coming up next week. Right. Yeah, next week you'll learn about our sponsor on Fun Speculation. So it'll be interesting. You'll hear about it on our shows and stuff.
And no, it's not Rage Shadow Legends.
No, it's not Rage Shadow Legends. Yeah. So yeah, next week that'll be interesting. Moving on up. Yeah, we're trying to do everything we can here and making some moves with that regard, but obviously it'll help the channel if everything goes well. But I appreciate you guys all in the chat and everything. Pong, got any major thing? You got a Saturday show that's not on your usual docket coming up, right?
I do. I have a triple header this weekend. Just confirmed that we will be doing it this weekend. So I do have a triple header on Saturday. Obviously, again, great show. Thank you all for being here. And love you all for sure. But Pong Soul on Xbox, Pong Soul on Twitter. Tomorrow night, Xbox Ultimate. At some point, I will be there. So again, as Mav said, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time, right back here on Fun Speculations channel. We're going to have a good time tomorrow night. And then Saturday morning, it starts off. My triple header. Saturday morning, you guys already know, but you get to hear it every time. Living split screen. Split screen's all one word. Myself, my brother from another Steel Rain, we're going to get your day started on Saturday. We really are. So again, be there, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3+ hours. Probably going to hold it down around 3+ hours because I got a triple header. I got to make sure my battery doesn't explode on my Surface Pro 4. So probably hold it down to about 3+ hours. But that's all right. It's a light news week. But you're going to have a great time with me and Steel. So be there Saturday morning. Then Saturday afternoon, I always forget that. I think it's 3 p.m. Eastern now with the time change. I can't remember. 2 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Eastern. Go live over on Game On Daily with, of course, the saucy one, Gaz, and the calm, cool, collected, cool hand, Luke, Asa, and, of course, Hargeet, Channy. I'm going to be over there hanging out with those dudes on Saturday afternoon. And then, of course, Saturday evening is the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel, Fuzzy Belvedere, myself. Don't know if we have a guest yet or not this week, but that's how you're going to end your Saturday. So you get 3 of me on Saturday. Be there. Shop Podcast is 9 p.m. Eastern, 8. Oh, no. No, don't do this. 8 p.m. Eastern now. 8 p.m. Eastern. 8 p.m. Eastern because of the time change. Because PTK Blam doesn't change in Arizona. We're done with this finally. The law is passed. Next year we don't have to worry about this nonsense. So, anyways, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time. The Shop podcast, be there Saturday night. So, again, living split screen, then go live over on Game On Daily, and then the Shop podcast. That's my 3 Saturday shows. Of course, next week, Xbox Factor podcast, got to be there. Double Barrel Gaming. Mr. Boomstick is the man every Tuesday. He's got 5 shows a week now, but Tuesdays is the big one. Great talking on Tuesday afternoons, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Xbox Factor podcast, whether I am there or not, check it out. And then right back here next Thursday, 4 p.m. in the p.m. And it's going to be episode 51 because this was episode 50. That's right, the big 5-0. Me and Mav made it. It's been great. We built, 50. We built a great community here. Mav's been freaking blowing up on fun speculation in general, but we love our PM and the PM show. So thank you all for tuning in here. Another great one. Everybody in the chat, Guardian Black, Psychonauts, Jigga J, Talos Ray, Vic the Click, FARQ, Just Saying, the CMA, the European Commission, the FTC. We appreciate all of you joining us. Back from the dead, I see you in there as well. Vic the Click throwing us $2 super chat right at the end, of course, as he always does. Hey, yo, Mav, how's Vampire Survivor?
It's fun. The 5 minutes I played of it are amazing, and I can't wait to play more.
And I played like 18 minutes and jumped in here 2 minutes before the show because of the game. It's addicting as hell, Vic the Click. Try it out. Check it out. It's Game Pass. No risk. Just check it out. So that's what we're going to be doing after this. Psychonauts, brother, great to have you with us for the entire show as well. Appreciate every single one of you. Love you all. Mav, get us out of here so we'll play some Vampire Survivors.
Peace.